Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Ting. It's just going to solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
SKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lore, is he going to be able to find these shots true?
Edu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes the Nanoblade immediately comes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
With playoffs just weeks away, the final week of the regular season, the teams bunkered down for the last push, the final fight towards the grand prize of all their tiers. We have teams who'll be fighting, jostling for position, and we have teams fighting for a final ego boost going into the playoffs where it all matters. Welcome back to Saturday Night Overwatch here at CGL. I'll be GLB hosting for you today alongside the wonderful desk of Ray, Jeff, and Spec. So, a lot to dig in, a lot to reflect on as well. This is the last week of the regular season. There's been so much behind us, but oh, the good stuff is absolutely in front of us. Ray, looking back at this season so far, it's not over yet, but what are the big things that stand out to you across all the regions and all the tiers?
I'll focus on EU since this is kind of where we are today. The one thing about EU that's been great is we've had a lot more of our closer series when it's come to EU. So it feels like, obviously there's like 1 or 2 teams that have set them above the rest, but it feels like everywhere else it's very close. In NA, it's felt more like there's a set few teams and they're just kind of destroying everyone, and the games haven't been as good as we were hoping. But EU's been awesome, and we've gotten like that classic EU spirit where we have teams, they're like, we are a Rhine team and we're going to play this, or we are a Wrecking Ball team and we are going to play this. So it's been a lot of fun. And coming into this final week with SNO, I'll admit we tried to get matches that at least determine something. Like this won't determine a playoff spot, for example, but this game will determine seeding within the EU PC console open tier.
Absolutely, and we'll get more into that match as well. Will be a doozy, but yes, the EU spirit has been alive this season. We've seen some great games, some games where it's not exactly been the cleanest, but it absolutely has been entertaining. Spec, when you're a player and you're getting to the end of a regular season and the rest is the playoffs, what changes in the mindset of the team?
I mean, it depends what spot you're in, realistically. Because if you're already qualified into playoffs, then you don't really care that much, realistically. You're just about, let's get to playoffs. This is almost like a rest week for us, right? Once we get there, then we can focus up. We can stop playing the games that matter. If you're on the outside, though, it's, when you've got a deadline due, like, kind of the next day, it's maybe like 11 p.m. You've got to lock in all throughout the night. That's kind of where they're at. They're going to play perfectly. But thankfully for our 2 teams today, that's not going to happen. For some of those teams who may be on the outside of playoffs, though, this is absolutely sink or swim time for them.
Exactly. They'll be rushing to get their assignments in time. But the 2 teams that we have today have done their homework and they've prepared ahead of time. Jeff, looking back at like previous playoffs here in CGL and across in Overwatch, what is it that really like makes a team stand apart from the rest in this like critical point of a season?
Oh, it's an interesting question. I mean, it's anything can happen in playoffs, and it's the ability to dig deep and find that other level. And the slate is kind of wiped clean, and it's something that we've seen time and time again through these playoffs. Is you have a team that comes through that you might not expect, as maybe in those one of those lower seeds in the bottom half of that seeding, and is suddenly you find another gear out of that team, and you see a new face from that team as they evolve and level up. That's to me is the magic of playoffs, and you get those diamonds in the rough that are able to come up and challenge the long standing, who's ever been at the top of the standings throughout the entire season. I love seeing the underdogs rise up and evolve in the postseason.
Exactly, rising up, evolving. I mean, you've had the season behind you, especially if you are on your roster, to get together and dig in. So yes, the playoffs are just 2 weeks away, but of course for tonight it is to begin to wrap up the regular season. Tonight on Saturday Night Overwatch, of course, we're starting here in the EU sphere on the PC Open. We will have the match of Big Man Ting and Completely Melted for you tonight, and then later on in NA it will be Mythos Phoenix versus Guardians HC. So a lot of content here tonight with SNO, and it does mean that we won't get SNO next week, so we'll be also on a little bit hiatus, so you want to get all your SNO content here tonight. Let's have a little bit of a deeper look into tonight's match. Big Man Ting versus Completely Melted. Given a cursory glance here, Jeff, what are we thinking we're going to see from this matchup? Is this going to be close? Is this going to be one-sided? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's gonna be hard to come in I think the synergy from Completely Melted is going to serve them very well. I mean, this is a roster that's been playing together for quite some time, and that's going to be, for me, the thing that stands out the most looking at these two teams on paper. Also, I mean, if we're looking at past history, it was a pretty one-sided matchup the last time these two teams met, but that was way back in week 1, Gio. So Completely Melted took that series the first time. I mean, I think my money would be on them being the favorites coming into this match here today. But yeah, that was nearly 2 months ago. Maybe Big Man Ting has found the secret weapon to kind of turn this one around. We'll see. But to answer your initial question, I think there's a potential for a one-sided matchup here today for sure. I mean, it's due to that synergy.
Yeah, that's synergy, and of course the history that the teams have. But like you said, that was 2 months ago, and let's have a look at the standings to see how the teams have evolved since then. Now, we've talked about how neither of these teams are at threat of not being in the playoffs. Both of them are pretty secure there on 3rd and 4th place. So in terms of what we're playing for today, maybe it is just a little bit more about Big Man Ting trying to get their own back on Completely Melted. Spec, is that something that you see a lot in terms of the egos of players where, okay, you beat us last time, but even though this doesn't really matter for our playoffs, we want to just get the ego win?
I think it definitely can. I think it's very dependent on the team, though, what the stakes are. Some players, all they care about is the tournament placing. Their opponents have definitely just an obstacle in the way of that. Other teams, they feel like every match is a little bit more personal. So if you're one of those teams who does take these games a little bit more personally, then you would absolutely love to get that rematch. I know for a fact that myself, plenty of other players as well, anytime you lose a game, you're quick to attribute it to, just playing bad, having a bad read on the strategy, and then you get a very good idea that when you take this rematch, now that's not always a realistic idea, but it might give Big Man Ting a certain amount of confidence coming into this.
Yeah, exactly. When you lose a match, you're more likely to dive a little deeper and be like, okay, what went wrong here? What can we build on? So yeah, I absolutely agree in that respect. But the one thing you don't want to really look back on is when things don't quite go your way, and, well, we do actually have a regular program for that one, where we deep dive into some of the more questionable plays. Let's have a little look at what Lowlights this week has in store for us.
Aw. How does the old cowboy deal with this one? Well, less well. Oh, there's for sleep. Here comes the beam, though. The beam will be helpful. Did you just drop off this freaking... Were you forced to use this self-destruct? Or did you just think, you know what? He's sleeping. He's an EP guy. I'll just drop this here. Does he get clear? Tries their best. Where are you going? What Were you just trying to deflect off of this central pillar to avoid the Deadeye? Alright, boys. Oh, we just curve around because of all of the angled surfaces. I've made a boo-boo here.
And you can see more of that on the YouTube channel, Console Gaming League YouTube. Not only can you see this week's, but you can see all the other weeks before and other seasons as well. So if you want to sit down with like some popcorn and just go through a lot of like fun content, then there was a big back catalog there on the YouTube. Seriously, it's so fun. I was watching it the other night. It's a great time. And we were kind of talking before the desk. Obviously, next week we don't have SNO. We might have some staff games. I'm a little bit scared that we might end up on lowlights, Ray. You're saying that there could be the possibility of that.
Oh, we definitely will. I think it's only fair that if we're going to put our players and our great teams on this, it's only fair when we do our staff game next week that we get flamed a little bit by leg day as well. So I think it's the law of equality at that point.
Oh god, now I'm just thinking back to getting booped off the map in Volskaya when I was shattering. I do not want another repetition of that.
I had a fantastic time last Staff Pug, so I don't know if you guys are scared, because I'm not feeling the pressure. It's going to be great. It's going to be Spectrum domination.
Yeah, he's going to just be in our backlines on Tracer destroying us, and then we're going to look like the bad ones.
The last thing I want to do is match that Tracer, because I will not recover from that loss. But now it's time for our game of the day, and we actually have someone else running this one. Lucio himself has sent us a challenge. Lucio's speed art is going to be the game that we play today. So how does this work? Well, it's very simple. One person on the desk needs to guess what the others are drawing. One person will get 15 seconds to draw a clue. And if they don't guess it in those 15 seconds, the next person gets 10 seconds to draw it. And if it's not guessed then the next person gets 5 seconds. So it gets very quickly hard to draw clues, and really hoping that you have either good drawing partners or a good brain for figuring it out. So
this is about to be bad, folks. I cannot draw.
Oh, trust me, this is not going to go well, and I think that's part of it. So let me bring up the window here. There we go. So make sure everyone is in the drawing link. So what we'll do is we will start with basically Spec. You're going to have to guess first, which means that Jeff, you'll be drawing first. So
no.
You'll have 15 seconds to draw. And we have one of our casters, Megalas, who will be sending you the prompt shortly for you to begin counting.
I see. I'm locked in.
Yeah, so you have to lock in here. You have to guess what's being drawn. Okay. Now we'll start the drawing a little bit left of the CGL logo there. I don't know which one of you guys are, King Shark, Generous Pig, or Romantic Duck, but we'll find out when the drawing starts.
I am King Shark.
Okay, brilliant. So if you've got the prompt there, then begin when you're ready, and we'll begin the countdown of 15 seconds.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
I don't have the prompt.
That's why you'll get the prompt. Okay, we have a drawing
Consider
here.
Rush.
Drawing's going on.
Is that a hyper ring? A speed ring? Sure, that's a speed ring. Transcendence? Look what red lines. Is this like an alt fight?
I've become concerned. I don't know if we have a timer rolling. Okay, right. So I think right. We'll call it there. I don't think we actually have a timer rolling, so it's a bit scuffed. Oh well. So basically, you keep the drawing up after you're finished, by the way, and then people add on to the clue after it. So Spec, what was your guess? What did you think you were seeing there?
It's like a Kitsune Rush, maybe.
Is that true?
No.
No. Okay. So that means with 10 seconds, Jeff, it's now your turn to count. Let's see if we can actually get a timer. No, to draw.
I just drew them.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it's Ray.
Oh, it's my turn? Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right, let me know when to start.
All right. Start in 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Okay, we've got a person. It's got a shield.
And stop.
I have no idea.
I
have no clue.
No, yeah, okay, no guess.
No.
I'm not actually sure yet either because I don't have the prompt yet. But now I get 5 seconds to add on to this clue to see if I can help get it. So I've got the prompt here. Okay, right, that does make sense. Okay, so I've got 5 seconds. So if someone else wants to count me down, when I can start.
All right, go ahead. Start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Time's up.
I tried really hard.
The captain's son.
No.
I don't know.
All right,
What
do you
is
want to
this?
tell them what it was?
Yeah, I think we'll put you out of your misery.
It was the pulse bomb.
Pulse bomb.
I was never getting that in a million years.
Sorry, that's why I put the person in the circle, and then like the X, like they got hit by the pulse bomb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we roughly know how it works.
I thought Bull Skunks was good, man. I think I would have gotten that.
Yeah, hypothetically, yeah. Thinking back, that was a quite good one. So yeah, undo all the last drawing there. Okie doke. Right. So now, Jeff, it is your time to guess. So
Okay.
just a reminder for everyone: keep the drawings up once you've drawn them, and it means that Ray, you will start with 15 seconds to draw the clue. So let me know when you have the prompt.
I do have the prompt.
Okay, I'll count you down in 3, 2, 1, start. Little guy. And stop. Interesting.
Healing orb.
Ooh. Is that?
That is correct. It's Orb of Harmony.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Good
So that
guess.
is.
Let's go,
That's
let's
a
go.
point to
Well done,
Jeff and a point to Ray. See, yeah, Ray, you said you couldn't drop it. You
Yeah,
got
let's
it.
go, Ray. Perfect. I look the use of color. The color nailed it.
Perfect. Brilliant. Okay. So now, Ray, it is your time to guess.
Sweet.
I have 15 seconds. Let's clear the board. Okay, I've got the prompt. Starting in 3, 2. Okay, and stop. Any thoughts?
Okay. Is that a Junkrat trap?
Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. So that means you get a point.
Okay, so I'll admit. So, like, at first with the person, I'm like, huh, what is that? But when you started drawing the second part, I'm like, oh, okay, I know what that is.
Yeah, I was a bit thick on the fake leg there.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that is. The tip of a plane. Okay, right. So like we've got like the pretty good gist of it. So now it's so that was drawn by me. So I have a point and Ray has a point. So now it's my turn to guess, which means it's
my turn to draw.
Let me know when you've got the prompt.
Okay, this is gonna be tricky. I think I can do it though.
Alright.
Count me down.
3, 2, 1. Okay, got a circle here. Circle in a square. It's a boat. Oh no, what is this?
Like
And
this,
stop. Oh, what am I looking at? It's this. Such a wild guess. The water wheel on Runesapi?
No, it's not.
Oh, is it not? Okay.
All right. Oh, I think
Okay,
Bill's gonna go
that's
bring it
okay.
home on this.
Alright, yeah, so it's Jeff's turn. You've got 10 seconds. Have you got the prompt?
I do.
Fine, alright, so I'll count down 3, 2, 1. And stop. Oh god. So that kind of looks like a pig to me, so I'm thinking Roadhog.
Not the way I would have taken it, Jeff. I have to
I know what it is. I know what it is.
Wait. I'm now thinking, is it a top down of a map? Oh, I'm lost. Is this point 3 of Junkertown?
No, it is not.
I feel like I'm so far off the mark.
You're actually ridiculously close.
No, don't give him a
Oh,
hint.
what?
Let him know.
Okay. Damn. Okay, Ray, you need to save me here with 5 seconds. Have you got the prompt?
Yeah, I know what it is.
All right. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, 5 seconds up. Oh. Oh no. Oh no.
That was the best I could do with 5 seconds given what I know.
Yeah,
it
I
is.
know, yeah. Oh. No, I did get the hint that I was close, so. The. Is it the throne in Junkertown?
No.
Ugh, no. Dude, Spectron, given knowing what it is, like, you did a great job. That's
You did.
well.
It's well.
It is well from
Oh, it's well. That's why the Roadhog is Roadhog.
Yeah, and that's why the person, like, going into the well and dying.
Yeah.
Oh, Elios Well strikes again.
I regret my decision. It was an interesting artistic choice, but I think if I had done something a little different, I could have brought that.
I
one
thought
home.
about, like, the one thing I wanted to draw was, like, a windmill to, like, get the map, but I'm like, I can't do that in 5 seconds.
See, I was just thinking, just do that. But yeah, like actually draw a well.
Right. So we do have another round, so now we know how the game works. We'll get into the swing of it. Okay, so I believe now that means Spec, you're guessing, and Jeff, you will have 15 seconds to start. Let me know when you have the prompt.
I am so wanting to bust. What the?
What? Excuse me.
What? Pause?
Alright, are you ready?
Alright.
What did Jeff say?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, I know what it is. Oh, that's so good, Jeff.
And stop.
Is it double jump?
No.
Yes, Whoa. Oh. Okay, that was slightly different than what I thought it was. Okay. Okay.
So alright, so we'll have to go for another 10 seconds then, alright? Ray, do you have the prompt?
Yeah, I do.
Alright, start in 3, 2, 1. And stop.
What is that? Like, what is that? I don't know.
Please tell me that was live.
Is that
For context,
like,
folks,
wall
even our
climb?
producer is confused.
Is that like Genji wall climb? I really don't know.
Negative.
No, it's not.
We'll go into the 5 second
Oh!
one.
Whoa. Okay. 5 seconds. Okay, so it's on me to try and clutch it up.
3,
I feel like it.
2,
Oh, yeah.
1, go. Time's up.
Is it
Okay.
Sigma?
Is that your guess? It's Sigma?
Yeah.
I want to say close.
It's close, but that's not it. It was Sigma Rock Jump.
I think Megalas is up to the difficulty.
Okay, so like, so mine was a foot. I was just trying to tell you it's Sigma.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a foot.
Oh.
Like the toes.
Is that?
Okay.
Oh my god. Also, you can't even Sigma Rock Jump anymore as well. So they patched it. That's terribly cruel.
I've not tried it in a while.
No, they
I
patched
that
it.
was good.
I thought I did pretty good for rock.
Very well.
I'll admit, I immediately thought it was accretion, but when I got it,
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, rock jump. That makes sense too.
Like I should have put like 2 lines for like 2. All right, we need to start doing like 2 words.
Okay,
All
so Jeff, you're up for guessing. So Ray, now you've got 15 seconds to start. Let me know when you're ready.
I don't have it yet. Oh, okay, I do have it now. Okay.
Let's go, Ray.
Okay, so
Ugh,
3,
yikes.
2, 1. Oh no!
I
What is
thought
it?
exactly. Well, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
And stop. What were you thinking, Spec? What's going through your mind?
I thought Jeff was guessing.
He is.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Sorry, yeah. That is a tough one. You have anything?
He doesn't have one. Just go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, Gio. You're next.
Okay, right, all right. So okay, right. Okay. So someone want to count me down?
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Time's up.
Right. Oof.
I think I know what this is, but I'm not guessing.
I did my best.
Can-
Well, maybe
can
didn't
you-
do my best.
Can you see what I was trying to do, Gio, with like the first thing I drew?
Yes.
Okay. Any guesses, Jeff?
No, not a clue.
All right, go. All right, Spectre, you get 5 seconds.
Do
you have it?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Time's up. You got a guess, Jeff?
No, I have no idea.
Do you just want us just to tell you?
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here.
It's Primal Rage.
If I had an extra 1 second, I could have done I was trying to do like the glasses.
Yeah, you're trying to do the broken glasses of the actual.
Yeah, I was trying to do.
logo.
That's
so-
what mine were.
so
yeah.
mine was-
5 seconds. I can't go
Mine was
fast.
banana to like try and get you Winston, and then like I was like, it was supposed to be like a muscular arm, and then he's gonna go whack him.
He's just got like equilateral
I
triangles.
can see it now. Yeah.
All right. So
Is that a moon? Like I was
I was like, it's a moon
Oh,
or a
it's a
banana. Either way, it's
banana.
probably monkey.
So let's wrap up there because we have gone a bit over in terms of time wise, but that does mean that we do have a winner. Ray, congratulations of 2 points.
Wow, I did not expect this at all. At all. I got lucky with Harmony Orb. Like I got lucky with that one.
So we'll jump right ahead then to try and catch up. So let's bring it back to reality and to the interviews. So we had our interviews with the players. Let's start what we got to hear from the team of Big Man Ting.
Alrighty, here I have Alba from the side of Big Man Ting. First off, I'd like to say, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. A bit under the weather, but yeah, fine.
You know, everybody gets those sick days, but hopefully you can muster through for this matchup. And, you know, looking ahead to it, you know, not the most impactful match, right? It's sort of just determining seeding more so than anything here. But how do you guys feel going into this?
Yeah, I mean, we feel pretty good. Don't like have like loads of expectations for ourselves. Like we're just kind of playing it pretty chill, no pressure. It's gonna sort of more be a match to kind of figure out how strong these guys are. Looking at their names, like we know they're gonna be decent, but yeah, we're gonna just kind of work out today how good they really are, and then the big efforts will be for in playoffs, I think.
Saving that energy for playoff, you know, very solid strategy, gotta respect it. But you know, like you said, coming to this matchup, it is sort of that looking at, you know, how these teams are going to stack up against each other, right? You know, do you expect it to be sort of a meta matchup? Are we going to see the Orisa, the Juno, the Brig, or do you feel like there might be some variation?
I mean, these guys are pretty sweaty, so they're just going to be playing what's best. For us, it'll probably be about a mix of that and then also just comfort picks. I think we're missing a few players today for Overdrive Cup and some other stuff, so we're just going to try our best with the players we have and play a bit of comfort, a bit of meta. Just, yeah, play the game.
Hey, listen, you gotta, you know, work with what you got. I more than understand that. You actually get the pleasure here because I did get to speak to Tomex on the other side earlier, and he said that if he gets to pull it out, the Kiriko will be threatening. So if you want to, you know, maybe send some smack talk back the other way, let him know the energy that y'all are bringing. You know, you're more than welcome to right now.
I mean, that's great. He thinks that his Kiriko's threatening, but yeah, I mean, the words don't need to be said. I'm not too worried.
I love it. Just nothing else needs to be said. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to chat with me. It's always a pleasure to get these team interviews, and we'll be throwing it down to the desk to let them sort all of that out.
Yeah.
Playing meta, playing comfort, and a little bit of cold, calculated confidence. It does make me feel good to hear another Scottish accent on the desk as well. But let's jump right in to see what their opponents had to say on the side of Completely Melted.
Alrighty, here I have Tom X from the side of Completely Melted. First off, how you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good right now. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Glad to hear. So, you know, just getting into it, right? The last week of regular season, you know, maybe not the most insane stakes on this match. It's ultimately just going to determine some seeding here, but how is Completely Melted feeling about it?
You know, we've had some rough patches this CGL season. You know, had to substitute our tanks quite a few times, but overall we're feeling pretty confident right now. I feel like the meta suits us pretty well, unless there's some magic changes about to happen. And you know, we've played together as a team for some time now. Not in OWCS and Face It League anymore, but still continuing on in CGL. So like we're happy about how we've done so far, and we're looking to win it all.
Hey, looking to win it all, that's great energy. You love to see it. But, you know, focusing back on that meta talk, right? Obviously, a lot of teams preferring the Brig Juno, a lot of Orisa still being played here. Do you expect your opponents to sort of mirror you in that style, or do you maybe come in with a different game plan?
I think we, as a team, usually try to stick to what seems to be the meta at the moment. So. And I feel like most of the teams are about the same. So I think most teams will just mirror us on the Big Juno and the Orisa pick. Last week we did go against the team called Urei Mirai, who played the Maga Reaper comp, which was pretty scary for us and ended up as a defeat for us. But I believe we've had some time to think about it and prepare, and we should be pretty good against that comp as well now. So even if it's not a mirror comp that we run up against, I feel like we should be pretty okay running into whatever hits us head on.
Yeah, hey, listen, when you're prepped for anything, it just really makes it that much easier. So before we let you go, maybe anything you maybe want to feel spicy, maybe sort of let your opponents know that you're really ready. Anything you could, if you could have something to say to them, what would it be?
I would just say to our opponents that even if we run on the mirror comps, I'm pretty sure that we're very confident to beat whoever we're against. Doesn't matter if it's this team or if it's any other team. But just want to say, if you see me lock the Kiriko, then it's over. So I would be worried for that if I were the enemy team.
Ooh, the Kiriko, that could be spicy. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to chat with me, Tomix. Always fun, but we're going to go ahead, throw it back to the desk, and let them break down all of that juicy information.
I do love it when we get a called shot there from the teams and we have a Kiriko called there. Spec, what are your thoughts there on hearing both the players there have a little bit of chat about their internal workings and what they think of each other?
I mean, firstly, I gotta mention that I've never seen Alba without that hoodie on. So I think it's like surgically bonded to his body. So first, I gotta get that out of the way. But obviously, it's a lot of emotion between these teams, a lot of belief in their strength or lack thereof. I would say Kiri in this patch isn't very good because you can just play Juno Break. So I'll be a bit surprised if Tomix ends up locking the Kiriko here. It has use cases, that's for sure, but I do more lean towards what Alba's saying in that, okay, he's on Kiriko. Like, we don't really care. It's the hero is just okay, and the hero will be okay for a while, but it's not going to affect the tide of the game very much, I'd very much expect.
Yeah, that is true enough, and whether we see the Kiriko or not, it does seem like both teams are confident in themselves, and I was just 2 weeks ago, I watched Alba literally win on stage, so I know the danger that Alba can supply. Now, though, let's have a quick look at the overviews there of the team. So, Big Man Ting, we have, of course, Alba on the support line. We also have Sonder as well, who was also part of that team. That I watched win there 2 weeks ago. You've got Bosch as well on the DPS, Rosa on the tank, and the Modis on the support there. And on the other team, of course, we saw Tomix there. Have a wee chat there about their Kiriko. They'll be joined by Roth FD and D-Cruz. So a good roster here. A lot of them previously on Everfrost Esports, so there's a good cohesion as well in their past as a team. So that's what I'm looking forward to here. But what are we thinking about this matchup? What are we predicting to happen? Well, as you know, I always like to start with the dice to see what the fates have spun up for us. And my dice have decided to roll for an entertaining 3-2 victory for Big Man Ting. So they're predicting us to go the distance, and they're actually predicting for Big Man Ting to get a little bit of vengeance here against Completely Melted. Spectrum, do you agree with the dice in any respect?
No. I decided to go 3-1 for Completely Melted. I thought it maybe would be close if there was the full 5 here, but as we've heard, maybe there will be some issues here. I am seeing now that rather than Sonder, there might be Senna playing for Big Man Ting, and obviously Senna is absolutely nuts. Newly signed Dex for Vione. So I expect her to be able to put up a map, but I think overall it's going to be closer to the 3-0 result, so I decided to put it 3-1.
Nice. And Jeff, are you thinking along the same lines as Spec there?
In so much as I think we'll see Completely Melted take the victory, yes. I'm going with the actual gutsy call and saying it's just going to be a dominant. None of this pansy footing around with a 3-1. No. I am putting my hat in the ring here. This is going to be a dominant performance out of Completely Melted. I think this synergy will absolutely serve them well. I mean, even down their team name is just a reflection of their previous moniker. This team's been playing together for a while. Now, granted, this was before I heard Senna was going to be playing. That could be a factor here. So when I put in the 3-0, I did not realize they would have Senna in the roster. Definitely could be a next factor here, but I'm sticking to my guns. I still say Completely Melted, take it in a sweep.
Yes, I do agree. The Senna pick does change things up, I do believe. And Ray, are you agreeing with the dice? Are you more with the rest of the desk? Where are your thoughts?
Listen, I'm just gonna preface with I told everyone this beforehand that I was feeling very cowardly today, and I will own up to it. I picked a 3-1 for Completely Melted. As Spectreon once said, it's a coward's 3-0.
I didn't even say that first. Like, Joker said it first. Everyone said Joker.
No,
Everything.
it is now your thing. I'm sorry.
I like how you sideways insulted Spectreon and then you just went right for the jugular. Like, I feel like I'm like caught in the middle. I'm like, God, whoa.
Dude, I'm always just pickle chilling and I just get shots thrown at me. It's insane.
Catch strays.
You got the cowardly 3-1 moniker, and you got the Liquipedia diff moniker.
Liquipedia diff was a banger. Liquipedia diff was a banger.
I will say, I mean, if history repeats itself, it was a 3-0 before. You know, I'm just saying.
That is true. And I know my dice rolled my predictions for me, but hearing that Senna's on the field, potentially, I'm now very confident in my dice. On the desk I was talking about, we saw them just a couple of weeks ago, me and Spec, on stage, take a victory against Ex Oblivione, like the roster of Ex Oblivione. And they did it so with outstanding 4-0 fashion. Senna was there, Alba was there, and the only reason Senna didn't win MVP is because Tread was on the roster and was dominating. Senna was on peak performance, so if she's actually in this matchup, then I'm suddenly very confident in my dice.
I would have to say though, I think a lot of that was at Tread's leadership. And I think Tread's shot calling was a massive part of that Epic Land Championship. I don't know if Rose is going to bring that same level of IGL, and so are we going to see that same level of impact from Alba and who else was Sandra was on that roster, or was it?
Sandra. Yeah, Sandra was riding the bench, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I do think, given they've had a whole season of CGL to work together, is another reason why I lean toward them being able to take a map, but not the series.
Well, it should be a good one either way.
Yeah, it is going to be a good one, and I'm urgent to get ready. I know we're a little bit behind because we were drawing so spectacularly. Let's have a little chat with the casters that we have today. Of course, we are joined by Hunter, Ting, and Megalass, as they'll be joining us on the desk, and we'll see what they predicted. Hunter, Megalass, welcome to the desk. First of all, how do you rate our art?
Listen, y'all messed up Pulse Bomb. I was like, that is easy. That's a starter one. That's free. And somehow that got messed up. So I decided to up the difficulty from there. I hope y'all had fun.
Were you bribing me or everybody else, or just everybody?
Wait a minute. How would you have drawn Pulse Bomb?
I thought you did Pulse Bomb very well.
Okay, because it's a triangle. It's literally a triangular shape, and then y'all just kept drawing circles.
So you think if we had drawn a triangle, that would have been it, huh? That was the missing piece. We needed the triangle.
It would have been better.
Spec, you would have figured out if it was a triangle, right? Totally.
Yeah, probably.
See, there
I disagree. That's enough of the peanut gallery here.
So just so the audience knows.
Yes, the triangle theory there. But very quickly, Hunter, Mega, what are your predictions for this matchup in terms of scoreline?
So again, I'm the Map 5 guy. I decided to keep that trend here today because I think there's a very real possibility that could happen. So I have a 3-2. It is still going to be on the side of Completely Melted. I still think they realistically should take this one away, but all the info we kind of gathered here within the last 20 minutes, especially seeing that Senna is going to be in there now, I think there's going to be some real competition here, and there's a good chance to get caught off guard in this very first map and kind of have to fight back from there. So I'm kind of banking off of that at this point, but it's a extremely real possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the other side of that coin. It's like the buff handshake meme, me and Jeff, that 3-0 for Melted. I'll say it. Senna doesn't matter. Completely Melted got this. They're confident. They know what they're doing. They're going to play meta. And they're just...
That doesn't matter is an insane statement.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm Clint. That way it's funny on Twitter later when I'm wrong.
Yeah. I'll message Samantha right now to post it.
Exactly.
Well, some last minute information that we do have is that actually Rosa won't be in, so the tank of Big Man Ting is actually not there, so that's another factor. Will this be another repeat 3-0 for Completely Melted, or can Big Man Ting turn it around right before the playoffs? Hunter, Ting, Megalass, take us away.
Well, that is some interesting last-second information right there, Megalass. But I mean, kind of talking about the tank does kind of define a team a lot in that situation. The tank is usually the immediate shot caller, usually the in-game leader as well. It can make a big difference, but at the same time, as long as you're mechanically gifted, as long as you understand the game, you're still going to be able to play to a certain level of understanding. It's just all about trying to make it all mesh together at once, which some teams do a little bit better than others.
Exactly, and when you have this many moving pieces, right, like you said, there's, you know, potentially players coming in and out. People might be having to off-roll and not as comfortable as they would expect here. These are all factors that can add up in a match, but the other factor is probably when you're looking towards the map pool, right, where we're going to be, since it is this last week of regular season. You see a lot of these set maps are going to be a lot of brawl-favored, you know, situations here. Not as much room for the dive or the poke, so I feel like maybe if completely melted, they've been leaning into that meta, like they said, they should have an extra advantage on top of that.
I mean, yeah, 100%, and obviously starting out on Lijiang Tower, with the exception of Gardens, this is going to be a very brawl-centric like map. In the way the meta has shaped around, it's kind of opened up a little bit more. We're in that weird state right now, Megalas, where you don't have to just run an Orisa anymore. You could run the Ramatra, you could run the Diva, you could run the Jugger, Queen Winston. There's a large possibility of what these tanks are going to want to run, and I think we're going to see what these tanks are extremely comfortable on getting started in this situation, but it's something that we're going to have to see here as well as we're going to get started here shortly, Megalas, and of course, I mean, first of all, beautiful seeing everybody animated like that. It just looks absolutely fantastic.
XYBA Productions, they're stepping up the game. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely amazing to see here. And again, this should be a really good match, right? It's one of those things where you would want, you know, maybe a higher stakes match. Ultimately, in terms of the bigger picture of the playoffs, it's not going to matter all too much besides who's getting third and fourth seed in this group. But, you know, overall, right, just coming into this matchup, these two teams, very similar skill ceilings. We expect to see it from them here, and matching up for, you know, the first time since that week 1 matchup. It will be interesting to see who can sort of shake out that victory, as both teams currently in the spawn room hovered over these meta compositions, and I feel like the Genjis are going to be massive players in this. We've been seeing it more and more as this meta develops, right? The Genji's ability versus something like a Tracer just feels too fragile in these trying times, with the Orisa and the Brig just doing too much in the backline.
Yeah, definitely feels like that sometimes, but, you know, regardless, what's staying very consistently, Brig, you know, coming out on both sides. Haven't really seen teams kind of move away from that. Sometimes we might see the Kiriko come out instead of that Brig, but it's kind of just touch and go in the situation. But Senna is currently taking the off angle right now, a wide angle right now on the Widow. It is a bit of a risk, I will say right now, because if you get caught out here, it could be rough. But Tomic's unfortunately going to take the rear end of that headshot, already going to get taken out by Senna, already creating a big impact in this fight, but FC not one to let this go down quietly, creating the 4v4 in the situation with that Javelin. So at this point, Megalas, you kind of have to back out a little bit. You're still in a 4v4. It's going to be really hard to sustain right now if you're big man Ting.
Yeah, absolutely difficult, right? It is going to be sort of the full-scale reset here. It's completely melted. They do get this first capture going, but they do get this pick to start this one out. The tank missing.
Yeah, but again, they trade out pretty much directly afterwards right now. Kuruma kind of having a bit of the field here right now, shooting away, not taking as much pressure as you would really hope right now if you are big man Ting. And unfortunately, with Geheka, you kind of have to start giving up on this point here pretty soon if you're not careful. You can find it pick, right? But unfortunately, you need to try to throw yourself off the edge and reset as fast as possible. And I mean, it's the same story. Big man Ting, they find the first pick, but then they just kind of fall apart after the fact.
Yeah, and so now looking towards this next fight, right, I feel like this is where Senna might have to give up the GOAT, right? The Widowmaker, it's just not resulting in the picks that you want it to, and it's difficult, right? It's not specifically on Senna. I mean, that being said, though, they are leaving the spawn room, still going to be looking for those heads here, so it's going to be on the rest of Big Man Ting to follow up!
Yep. Third time fight going through. Senna gonna find that first pick to get things rolling, but now it's about finding a pick outside of that right now, and gonna find a second one, or not find a second one to top things off, but getting to top things off right now. Looks like they will eventually be able to take away the point. 53% gonna be on the board here, all set up, and Big Man Ting has a lot of ults ready.
At least my words taste tasty, because I definitely had to eat them there. Senna opening that one up, removing pulse supports from the fight. Now with an Impresight to start this next one. I mean, again, this is just going to buy more time. Big Man Ting simply gets all of the space, all of the knowledge in the world, right? It's like, hey, listen, we can see exactly where they're coming from. They have to wait on us for this Impresight to finally go down before we can get a real push going.
Yep, Deadeye's moving, no Javelin to be able to stop it, but Senna just find the hit on the Tomex right now. Senna finds a second headshot in the situation, and the Orbital Ray gonna be used to finish things off here. Just gonna see the reset there from Dempsey and Kurama. Looks like they will be able to eventually get out of here, so gonna be at least equal time in this situation, and on top of that, they still have 2 really good ultimates for the coming fight.
I just love Tom X typing stop as though that's going to stop Senna from finding their head. D-Cruz is now actually taking up the Widow Mirror here, so no Cassidy in play. That mid-range off limits is now just going to be the Widow battle. Both of them looking for some cheeky angles, I'm sure. Tons of other ultimates to consider, though. Probably these Blades going to be the massive impact in this next fight.
Yeah, and the Kurama already taken care of right now. Overray going to get invested here by Tom X in the situation. Does not want to be bullied anymore here by Senna, and right now you're in a really good position to hold on. Right now, Gahen just needs to focus on kind of staying on the point, kind of hanging around and making some impact. Probably eventually going to have to invest in that Terror Surge. Dempsey is going to use it first here. It's a rough situation as Gahek might have to use the sustain, but instead we're seeing the Blade come through here. Kurama going to get rid of Senna in this situation. Leo not finding the same success right now. They're going to try to pull on the best right now, and so far, it's kind of working out right now. The point did flip over, so you have to start prioritizing going on the point and finding targets right now as you have Dempsey super low. Looks like you eventually are going to force them away as everybody on the side completely melted as low. Looks like eventually the stall is going to come to an end here. They should be able to realistically cap, but this is taking honestly a long stall, and that flip is going to save them enough time to get one more fight.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, that flip right there, it buys them the entirety of Big Man Ting. You know, having to force another fight here. Granted, they have the only ult up right now being that infra sight, and so otherwise it's going to be a completely neutral fight. So getting past these sight lines, just trying to make sure there's a touch on the point, is now going to be the name of the game here for Completely Melted.
Yep, she need one good headshot from Senna to kind of get this thing going, and that's the one we're looking for right there! D-Cruz taking care of Dempsey. Not going to last long in this world, and at this point, there's nothing realistic enough to pull this back for Completely Melted. It's just Tom X and Kurama trying to go to the point, trying to create some touches. Unfortunately, it's not doable, so a very good first map here for Big Man Ting. Had a couple of rough fights to get things going at the beginning, but they really cleaned it up, and as soon as they held on to that point, I mean, we never saw them really lose a fight after that point. They did a really good job securing it.
Yeah, being able to hold their positioning and look dominant while doing it, as well as, you know, forcing the other team to adapt, right? I mean, Completely Melted ended up taking the Widowmaker for themselves because they simply saw no other avenue, no other way in, and it just, you know, was simply the space being created by Big Man Ting that was the difference maker here. Now, as we are heading indoors to the control center, I do expect it to be a lot harder for Senna, right? These sightlines aren't as open, and there's a lot of cover or Completely Melted to play behind here, so maybe more of this natural brawl can sort of win out, but that's sort of what they're hoping for right now, as pauses are being called.
Yeah, pauses on the scene from Senna, so gonna have to see what's going on there. I believe we see someone still sitting back at the spawn as well, but either way, something we're out to see right now. Senna going out on the Widow potentially could be, you kind of call yourself, it's a dangerous call because there's not very good silence here on this map. The bright side of it is when you set up somebody on that high ground, which is very likely where you're going to sit right now if you're Senna, it's going to call the attention of at least somebody. In that situation, it's going to be Kurama, so you can still kind of create a 4v4 environment, which in that situation, I think benefits Big Man Ting just slightly more in that scenario right now. The fact that they're going to have the Genji and be able to negate a lot of damage. But honestly, it's something we're going to have to see because, I mean, Completely Melted are currently running out on Lucio and the Juno, which is a super fast comp, but it's not quite as sustainable as the Brig Juno.
Yeah, I mean, normally when you see this composition, it gets paired with a Junker Queen, right? Because the idea is that you're not attempting to sustain long in these fights at all. You're simply trying to go fast and win a fight before any of that substantial healing is necessary. And it works to varied levels of success, right? Depending on the team and how ready they are for it. But when you're running with the Orisa, like you said, it does just kind of add this weird extra element where you're probably going to see the Orisa kind of get caught out a little bit. Having to make sure these cooldowns are, you know, well-timed, making sure the aggression is in sync with the rest of the team here, because otherwise you will just find yourself on an island on the horse.
Yep, either way, we are back. We are ready to go here. Senna going to stay over on the Widow as well, so because of everything, Completely Melted is going to have an opportunity to kind of take over this White Room, kind of take over presence right now. Honestly, try to keep the fight as minimized as possible, and that's a great way to do it right there. Senna being taken care of gives a signal for the rest of the team to kind of move in and just push Big Man Ting out. So, Completely Melted will be able to get the point first and foremost. They got to send somebody back eventually, which means they're going to have to back up in time.
they're going to have to back off, but holding forward right now is the good strategy here from Completely Melted, right? Force every single cooldown out that you can, make Big Man Ting pay for that space that they're going to have to take eventually here, and now the speed's actually going to the spawn.
Ooh, yeah, and Senna, again, going to get taken down, and that speed is really paying off for them right now, because, again, they're not good for long-term fights, but if they can go in there and get 1 or 2 Vicks to start it off, it's phenomenal. So far, they're making a great example as to how to run this comp.
Yeah, they just look better on this more standard brawl setup here, and actually a spear will send the, oh my goodness gracious, I don't even know how that'll fully work, but hey, I guess when you get that close to the environmental edge, it is a thing. Big Man Ting, though, pushing into this next one, already with the Orbital Ray online, should be good for creating space and getting them in, but it's all about the value they can find.
Yep, you do see that Deadeye about to be online. In fact, a lot of things for Completely Melted about to be online. You want to be careful not to overall in this fight, but you also got to make sure to try to get some resources out of Big Man Ting here. They're only going to have this Orbital Ray, but it is a fantastic tool that can service them greatly. But as things go right now, they're creating a more long-term fight right now if you're Big Man Ting. That's going to play to your advantage as Kuruma trying to survive, but unfortunately, it's just not going to play into their favor. But not able to get the value that you would get of Tom X, and now 60% on the board. And right now, Completely Melted isn't even let them touch the point at this regard. It is really hard for them to push through this.
Absolutely difficult, and this is what Completely Melted has to do, right? Rotate these ultimates, make sure you're not over-investing too much into these fights here, so you do find yourself at a bit of a disadvantage right now because of that, so Big Man Ting has to take advantage of this, though, as they've already ticked above 80%. They have to make sure to get in.
Yep, and they're looking for that blade. They're going to beat Blade to double down on the situation. Going to try to buy something. You have a few ults remaining. The Blade going to find no value right now, and unfortunately, the rest of Big Man Ting not going to find much of value themselves. Geheg manages to find 1 in this situation, but now it's about living and trying to touch this point and force an overtime, so Senna can come back with this Deadeye right now, but got person dropping after person dropping, and unfortunately, there's no more touches set up. Nobody else is going to make, because that's going to be 100-0 on the other side. Completely Melted, looking extremely more comfortable indoors, and part of that is the fact that Senna just couldn't run that Widow anymore. They weren't able to kind of take sidelines. They had to pretty much play a front-to-back composition, or more so a front-to-back style, and unfortunately, that's going to benefit Completely Melted in 9 out of 10 fights.
Exactly, and I mean, also, you know, we criticize this double speed backline, right? It's very much a risky gamble, but they played it incredibly well, right? Being aggressive is the name of the game when you're having these double speed amps. You're able to go forward, and you have to hold that space with authority, and they were able to do just that. Now, as we head over to the night market, however, you know, potential variations are going to come out once again, right? This is sort of a tried and true Symmetra cheese strat you're going to see from Completely Melted, where you just run the sim, try to charge up that beam as quick as you can. But actually, it might just be a TP out of spawn before Kurama decides Tracer might be the answer here.
Yeah, so Kurama's basically going to be like the main situation for trying to get rid of Senna in the situation, and Senna immediately realizes this is the case, and it's pretty much hard scoping onto them right now, making sure kind of just always watch them right now, because honestly, it takes a 1 clip onto Senna to take care of them, and now you're going to see Kurama get forced out of the situation, so now we're going to see Big Man Ting go on the thing, and D-Crew's unfortunately going to get taken off the point, and here comes that speed moving in, trying to find some kind of impact, and everybody's getting forced to separate a little bit more. It can be good in some situations. Fortunately, the fact when you get your Orisa that low, it's not a good situation. The break's not enough to keep them up. So, first fight going to go their way, and now you have to wonder how Big Man Ting is going to try to play this defensively.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be one of those things of you have to get on to Senna here if you're Kurama, but we saw the peel being there, it was just sort of the Brig being there, ready to make sure that Senna was okay. Now with a nice little headshot, gonna maybe make Completely Melted hesitate for a moment until those HP bars are back to full for their next push. But this Widowmaker really does just have a lot of peel and care right now.
Yeah, I like the idea that they were trying to force Senna out of that room, but unfortunately, you managed to find a pick anyway, and now you're managing to chase people down. Tomax is lucky to get out there with their life for the time being right now. Heck, might have gone a little too in, but looks like it might eventually pay off right now. Still a lot of healing for depth. See, unfortunately, just not going to pay off at the end of the day. And now, I mean, they're just creating a field day for Senna right now, and unfortunately, really, Melted are kind of struggling to take Senna out of position effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, it's like a 2v1 situation. You're sending this Tracer in, and, you know, you can send the best Tracer in the world in, right? It's Senna as well as the Brig being there, trying to keep them alive in these fights while they're just raining shots into your backline, right? So Kurama really would have to kind of get in with a very quick 1 clip in order to actually find the value you want.
I like this idea. They're going to push to the outside instead to go into the point. gonna see the override gonna be used though, so now everyone's gonna try to play inside of it. Dempsey, bit of a rough situation. We're gonna see the trade come out, someone to get hit with the pulse bomb. Fortunately, impact's already been made. Thomas is gonna reset, and right now, D-Crew is gonna have to take the reset as well. So potential last fight coming online here. And unfortunately, you've got a lot of tools coming up, so completely melted. You need a slightly prolonged fight here to build up most of those ults.
They do, but I don't know if they're going to get that, right? We have to worry about this Dragon Blade from Leo. Good attempt, but again, look at this. The breakback's just coming through. This Widowmaker cannot die. It's simply a Herculean task that you are not capable of, Kurama, and it will be you perishing on the other side.
Yeah, the bright side is the point's going to flip over, but unfortunately, you've already lost 2 members, and on top of that, it's your 2 DPS, so the Blade's going to come through. It's going to find nothing but air for a moment there, so Leo going to get no value out of that. As I kind of have to just wait out the open array a little bit, let it kind of pass along so you can go in your value. And you don't have anything great to walk into this fight with right now, but you just have to go in and make something happen. Hope Dempsey doesn't get a bunch of picks here with this. Looks like they're probably going to get Leo here, but Leo is, I mean, literally barely outside of that, like less than a meter. So fight's going to continue on right now as completely melted, trying to hold on to the point. Looks like they might be able to do it right there, and it will go the way of Kurama with the 2K. Dempsey going to help out with the cleanup, so eventually they're going to stop them and D-Cruz. Oh, okay, well, I mean, Senna still gets one on their way out anyway, because why not?
Yeah, but I mean, this adaptation, right? Obviously, you know, it's one of those things where they're like, oh, a Sombra, maybe they're helping get onto the Widow. No, it's just a matter of completely melted playing fast, right? That's how they have to play this. They have to be the aggressors at all times. Otherwise, they're just giving space and sightlines over to this Widowmaker and the rest of Big Man Ting. You know, keeping them cooped up in their spawn. This is going to be the best way to mitigate what you want to do.
Yep. Tried going a half-court shot there. Unfortunately, it gets no value. They're going to get taken out for their troubles. Leo gets taken out, though, so you're going to have trouble building up now towards that Blade right now. In fact, you're probably not going to get it online at all at this point. So now you're just playing for Alba, being able to get this ult on faster. Big Man Team, that's exactly what they're playing for. They're trying to get this ult online right now, and they're giving everything to be able to try to do it right now. We're going to see the Terror's being used right now. Overrate's probably going to come out almost immediately here now. And now it's a rough situation for Dempsey, who has nobody left to support them, and now this point almost certainly going to flip over with 96% on the board. We see the touch coming through as the EMP's going to come out online, catches a couple people. Leo eventually going to go down for that reason, but 98-99, the touch is going to come through overtime on the board. Megaless, this is a rough situation. You have no hope you can find a second pick right now. You have to find somebody in that back line that can kind of create some kind of opening right now, but unfortunately, no one's really giving them the opportunity. But the longer this fight goes on, the worse it's going to be for Big Man Ting, because here it comes, their open array, making a ton of space, and unfortunately, Big Man Ting is now falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to live long enough, right? Like, sure, Big Man Ting were able to sustain on point, but they weren't getting the picks themselves here, and so now the entire team's respawning. I don't think there will be a touch.
No, there isn't. I mean, you can't even make it around the ball that time, and unfortunately, wow, that is interesting. So, first map, going to go to completely melted, and honestly, that could have reasonably gone either way. And I think, unfortunately, the biggest issue in that very last fight, aside from the fact that they had 2 of the best ultimates right now on their team, was just the fact that they had to try to take that fight a little bit quicker. You needed to try to get rid of those DPS a little bit quicker and create yourself a better fight. Unfortunately, as soon as that open array came on, I mean, there was almost nothing you could have done. You just forced back into a wall basically between either dying up there or dropping down and taking a reset. And unfortunately, it's hard to make the right choice in that situation because you realize it's pretty much last fight, and you just have to try to dedicate to trying to find some value and trying to pull back the fight. But unfortunate situation, but this was a lot closer than we had originally thought right now. Pretty much came down to that final fight.
Yeah, I mean, completely melted. You are not feeling as safe as you want to right now. Sure, you ended up taking the map, but it was really by the skin of your teeth, especially on that last round here. And it's, you know, it's going to be one of those things where as we go throughout the series, right, it's going to be about shutting down Senna, right? I mean, we talked about how good this player is coming into it. And, you know, the rest of Big Man Ting is absolutely putting in the work as well, not trying to deny them credit here. But really, they're creating the space, they're creating the openings that are allowing Senna to do what they are doing right now. And completely melted. Their only adjustments have been, again, just being able to up the tempo, up the speed, sort of deny those sight lines. But ultimately, if Big Man Ting can find a way to sort of bounce back on that, then I feel like we're going to have a hotly contested series.
Yeah, I 100% agree in the situation. Completely melted, really good at kind of forcing tempo a certain way. And it's been beneficial for when they've run very fast compositions. And our next map, Megalast, is a place where you can attempt to run fast-paced compositions within a dive. It's going to be Blizzard World, but at the same time, Megalast, this is a map where Senna, once again, is going to find a lot of value on that Widowmaker. Those first 2 points could be very open. There's a lot of good places to set up where you can find a lot of long-range value. So I think it's once again going to be in the hands of Completely Melted. Try to learn how to shut it down and how to bring the pace back their way.
We'll have to see if they're absolutely capable of it. You know, Completely Melted. They did have their own interesting answers coming forward, right? We did see at the end over to the Somber Tracer here, which, you know, you'd consider a dive look, but they were still running it with the rest of that main core, right? It sort of creates a 3-2 situation where you have your DPS diving together in sync, not really in line of sight, ready to get help from their supports, but they don't necessarily need it as long as they get their one pick and they're able to get out after the fact. That's all they're after here. So we'll have to see if that's what they continue to operate with, or potentially we see D-Crews try to go back over to some of those hit scamming heroes themselves, try to absolutely light it up, as we know they can. But, you know, there's no guarantees or anything like that. Is that just a balloon? What was that thing floating? What was that?
I want to assume it was a balloon. I'll be honest, I didn't get a good enough peek to really tell what it was, so I'm just gonna agree with you here, but
I feel like I just saw the Loch Ness Monster. Like
you might have. I mean, there's balloons everywhere for that matter, but that was a whole different kind of balloon. But what's different right now? Pretty much nothing right now. This is pretty much the same compositions with the kind of difference that you kind of have D-Crews over on this Ashe, which Ashe, very strong DPS hit scan player right now, is probably going to be the one contention for Senna, but I mean, the question is it going to be enough, and is Completely Melted going to be able to kind of take this like mirror of the tank and support and still try to make the pace their own?
I mean, yeah, that is going to be the question here as we are just, you know, now getting into things, seeing how Big Man Ting will react to what they're being pushed with here. Nice little headshots is going to be the name of the game here for Senna, but D-Crews has a bit more of that sustainability, that longer damage potential with the Ashe.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of just the focus of creating a bit of a pincer here right now. You can kind of see it already take a little bit of action with Senna getting kind of low right now. Leo is in a very similar boat as Senna is going to be taken out by Kurama, and unfortunately, it's having the impact they were hoping for in that situation. And unfortunately, it's looking like Completely Melted is going to be able to clean things up a little bit, find another pick or two, and they probably secure this point. They 100% will. So that's going to be a very quick first point take. And again, this is what they're doing. They're having Kuruma kind of just loop around and take the attention of Senna, and then they're essentially just letting D-Crews and whoever else is around just kind of collapse in and get rid of them. And unfortunately, as a Widowmaker, there's not a whole lot you can do once that collapse happens.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's one of those things where it forces split attention from Alba, right? Where these break packs are going. You want to save them for your second healer, but sometimes Senna needs them.
Yeah, unfortunately, Senna... I mean, to be fair, I think this is just a recognition of Completely Melted. That's the one person I need to get rid of in these fights. And so far, they're doing a phenomenal job with the Pulse Bomb online for Kurama. It's going to catch down onto the ground. Still manage to get rid of them. And now, unfortunately, with the Ana down, the break's going to be in a rough situation. You get the reset. And now, I mean, right now, just Completely Melted getting all the value right now. Tons of time to work with.
Tons of value, tons of time here, but this is Blizzard World Second, right? There's tons of little sight lines, just like that jump shot here. And we're seeing G-Heck on this tank, trying to go forward, get a little bit aggressive on the Winston, but there's really nobody else besides Leo to sort of be, you know, a dive core with you. So it's a lot of things where you have to be careful about timing this jump. It seems the attackers and defenders have swapped position.
Yeah, it does happen from time to time, especially in these kind of settings right now. Gonna see the Brig gonna get forced out in the situation. Rod gonna be able to kind of stay alive. Tom Hanks eventually gonna come to the aid a little bit in this situation. But regardless of anything right now, that car has been moving along pretty much the entirety of this fight so far. So getting the value they need. Senna finally gonna find themselves a pick right now. Kurama gonna get taken care of, so no more harassment in the backline, which means Completely Melted now have to consider what to do here if they want to invest anything. And D-Crews is gonna go with the investment of the ball, gonna be thrown around. Everyone's just gonna get out, concede a little bit of space in the situation because you just have to. You have no way to sustain in the situation, but they have to come down to the point eventually as they kind of get everybody back. Right now, the Nate's going to find one in the situation. In fact, two in the corner. And Senna is eventually going to find their value. But Tomix is going to double down. They're going to double down in this situation to get rid of one. But the Blade is here online trying to find value. This is a big investment from both of these teams so far right now. And the question is it going to be worth it? And it looks like eventually Big Man Ting is going to clean it up. They have the close spawns. They have the advantage. But that was a lot of ults for both teams right there. I believe at least 3 apiece.
I mean, yeah, but when you look at the after effects of that fight, right? Completely melted. Truly, they invested everything in the kitchen sink and ultimately don't come up with point B like they wanted. A lot of ultimates thrown in when they were already down members here. Meanwhile, Big Man Ting, they still held onto this Primal Rage, great space making tool. And then once the Winston's done with that, you get to apply a nano to the Winston, making it just that much more lethal for the tank to kind of be in constantly here. I'm expecting Big Man Ting to be able to utilize this to at least buy a lot more time on the defense.
Yeah, that's definitely the way it feels right now. We got 3 minutes on the clock. We're going to see that nano going to be utilized here. Rough situation. Heck, if they invest, they're going to 100% have to use the Primal Rage in here. Almost 100%. They're in there right now. Going to try to get rid of Rod, and they're going to invest the Primal Rage, as we said, but they're going to get Speared instantly, so the value is going to be kind of minimal right now. Unfortunately, that means their 2 ults that they had left are kind of down the drain right now, Megaless. You don't have any more value off them, so now you're just playing the pure dry fight. Unfortunately, I don't know how well that's going to handle into completely melted with how they're playing, especially with Leo going down first.
Yeah, and it makes it just that much more difficult here, but I mean, completely melted
Senna
is finding what they want.
And poor Senna is just not going to have a chance there, and now Leo's going to come back over on this Tracer in the situation. On a break, helping each other out right now. Gek, unfortunately, just doesn't have the support because it's just getting distracted in the back line, being taken care of. We have touches onto the point right now, but it's just Alba, the last touch on this point. Right now, you see them trying to get healed up right now. Alba's doing a really good job of surviving. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough. So, bright side, you managed to reduce that time bank quite a bit, but 3.5 is still a pretty good amount of time here to walk into third.
Tons of time to work with Big Man Ting. Now on some wholesale switches, right? You had Leo go over to the Tracer in that last fight, as well as the Zarya now. They're just trying to raw counter the Orisa here. I mean, on paper, obviously it's a counter, but there's a reason that this Orisa meta has been so dominant, right? Once you lose those bubbles as Zarya, not only yourself, but a lot of the members of your team become very vulnerable to getting jumped on here. So we'll have to see how safe they can be.
Yep, pulse bomb ready to go. Gonna find absolutely nothing this time around. Not gonna find the stick like last time, and now gonna see the terracers being used. Hoping to find at least one right now. Get a couple of people low within Alba and Geheg, but neither of them are gonna go down. We're to see the investment of that rally onto Alba. Should be able to give them the fight win here. Does man just find a pick on the way out? The Baba's gonna get invested right now. Alba's gonna get a nano on top of that. I mean, essentially just to keep them alive, but Geheg is the one who kind of needs the healing right now, so they're gonna have to back off a little bit and just sustain.
Yeah, back off and wait for the moment here now. Oh, the Rhine in play. The counter watch is here and it's doing numbers. The Infrasight is going to be up to start this fight here, but I don't know how much value it'll get.
Yeah, and right now, Senna, a very interesting spot right now. Very interesting, as a matter of fact. Hoping to find some kind of pick. Unfortunately, the DPS finally finds something right there. Rod getting taken care of, creating the 4v4, and again, the spawn's going to benefit Big Man Ting just a slightly bit more right now, as D-Cruz, rest of the squad, are going to try to focus on getting out. Get Senna on the way out. D-Cruz looks like they're going to be able to live as well, so a faster reset for their squad right now as they're coming back with the most powerful ult in the game, that Orbital Ray.
Orbital Ray is great, but just underneath it in terms of value is the Graviton Surge here. Nothing really to combo with it though, right? When you're on this Tracer Widowmaker, you don't have that sustained damage to be following into the grab, so it might just be Heck trying to follow into it with their own damage.
Yeah, and the grab is just going to get used, honestly, to stop them, and I like this idea. Use it pretty much to stop their progress with that Orbital Ray right now, so now it's all about setting up the next touches, and unfortunately for Leo, it might have to be them, as Geheg is sitting super low right now. The stun onto the Reinhardt going to take them out. With Dempsey down, you pretty much give up all hopes of this fight finding anything right now. D-Cruz is going to try to get out of there. Same thing right now if you're Rod. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen for them. So, minute 15 on the clock. A nice little sleep to send them back to spawn. A little bit of tactical crouch to end the fight. And now Big Man Ting beginning to feel themselves once again.
Well, the tactical crouch is sending a message here from one team to another. Very interesting indeed. Looking towards these next fights, you're going to have Big Man Ting with this pulse bomb. Leo looking to try to get this stick. Hiding in the corner, just can't do it. Has to recall out.
Yep, but a second chance is coming on the way. The Bob's going to get used here. It's going in perhaps the worst case scenario right now. Shadow's going to come out. He's going to find Geheg specifically, and he's going to try to find the nano. Unfortunately, it's not online, and they die with the nano in hand. So they don't get to use it at all, and now there's not even any touch for this. So you die with an amazing ultimate within that nano, and I don't know what the scenario was for them to not be able to get that nano onto Geheg. And unfortunately, now that's going to result in them taking the point with time on the clock. So no matter if you manage to meet to the end right now, if you're Big Man Ting, it doesn't matter how much or how little time it is, you will get another shot if you're completely melted.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be a absolutely massive factor here, right? Blizzard World is not always a guarantee you're going into those extra rounds here. And like you said, just ending that fight while still having a nano as well as the pulse bomb from Leo, not able to find a target with it yet. I mean, they had some time to work those ultimates out, and they simply could not come up with anything that they felt was worth it, right? And simply blink and you miss it, they miss those opportunities. Completely melted now on their defense, though. I feel like this Ashe is going to have a field day with all of the high ground. D-Crews should be able to get tons of dynamites as Big Man Ting pushes through the chokes here. That's sort of the value of an Ashe versus the Widowmaker, the sustained damage versus that pick potential here. But we'll have to see how Big Man Ting reacts to this, right? They are at least hovering the Ashe to counter within their own spawn here. And Senna, for the first time in the series, maybe leaning more towards some of these flex picks over to the Genji.
Yeah, it's kind of the scenario right now is it's very interesting when I seeing Senna back over on this country. It is interesting. I think it can find value because I think they realize what's going to happen if they go the Widow in this situation. I think it's still find initial value, but we've seen the adjustments we made throughout the entirety of the series so far to kind of take down Senna. And now, ooh, Kurama, that is a risky spot right there.
Risky, but I don't think anyone's going to be aware. They don't know. They're actually unaware.
But is it going to find the value is the question right now. They're literally just hanging around right now looking for Senna, and they, ooh, that is paying the price right there. Leo pretty much not going to realize it's happening, but everyone else realized the moment they went in to try to find it. So now, it's an interesting situation right now. If you're Depsy, you're kind of surrounded on the point, using a bunch of cooldowns to try to sustain both of the supports, kind of hanging around the side of it there. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough when the entirety of Big Man Ting is kind of looking over, and now you got to throw some bodies on this point and secure, because at this point, with just the 2 DPS left, I don't think touching is all that. I don't think it's a good idea at all. I don't think they can now.
Yeah, and I mean, that was such an odd defense from the side of Completely Melted, right? Sure, you had Kurama far forward, that's one thing, but immediately giving up control of high ground and trying to fight a ground war against a composition that simply just, you know, wants to fight on the ground was a very interesting decision, to say the least here. Now, as they get this payload moving, Big Man Ting is going to be, you know, contesting this high ground, trying to get that advantage taken away.
Yeah, and I like that they're trying to play on this corner as well. It's not something we see all the time, because not a lot of teams get to reset in time for this corner. But it's going to find some kind of value here. Right now, you're trying to play for your ult, and if you're Alba right now, you're going to have your Ovo array on first, and if you're ult tracking properly, you should 100% know this fact. You should utilize it pretty much right here and right now, so I think just waiting for that right opportunity to go in with it. Speed has been used. We're going to see it be used directly across right now, and now it's got to find its value. Got to find all that damage that you have inside of it. Unfortunately, Overdrive is going to be thrown on the other side as well, so everyone's going to be able to sustain inside of it, and now it is completely melted. It's going to try to bring this one back. They find the 4v4. Again, spawns are going to be way better for Big Man Ting in this situation, but at the end of the day, Completely Melted is getting forced to push back like more and more as the fight goes along.
More and more being pushed back. They are under pressure. That pulse bomb going wide is not what you want to see if you decide to completely melt it. But, you know, D-Crew's able to get some good picks here, is going to force Big Man Ting to wait for the moment for their next fight, but so many tools, ultimates coming in here for Big Man Ting, right? You have the Blade, the Terra Surge, the Bob, anything you want to use in this fight you can. It's just going to be about making sure you don't have to overinvest, overcommit.
Yeah, 100%. And most importantly, got to keep your tank up in the situation. Use a lot of cooldowns to try to survive. Terra Surge going to get used. Oh my good gravy, 3K from Tepsi. We see the combination there of the Terra Surge and the Rally. And honestly, I don't see that whole lot. That's smart right there. Anyone who could have escaped right there pretty much was unable to due to the fact that he just got stunned out of it. That is an excellent play.
I was going to say, I've not seen a ton of that, but that, I couldn't have said it better myself. The fact that the stun just hindered all of those escape abilities here. And now, I mean, look at this. You're refighting first point. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. Pick does manage to find a first pick. Senna on the scene has already gotten rid of one, and that should result in this fight coming to an end. Senna does go down, so you still have a picture looking for right now, but it looks like you're eventually going to be able to get out of there alive, get this cart moving. You should be able to get a good amount of progress as well, but Kurama's just going to hang around the background and try to see if they can get out of there.
I mean, Kurama's going to want to continue to hang in the back line, right? That's where you're going to find your value on Tracer here. Ooh, I wonder if Senna is aware of what's going to be happening back here. Meanwhile, the payload is just moving forward. The rest of Completely Melted is going to have to get a contest here if they want to stop this momentum.
Yeah, well, there's a contest within the Bob. Worst case scenario, you throw that into the back line. You kind of force it different ways, but a Bob's going to be invested here first. It gets booped around on the side. It's still in a very unique position where Alba's going to be able to just run through the rest of the squad. The Bob's in the corner. Everyone's just going to invest into taking it down, and that Bob got turned into Swiss cheese, eliminated. Retouch is not going to happen. 4 whole minutes on that clock. That is a ton of time to work with. And all Completely Melted can do is just try to find a pick and die on this point.
It's all they can do right now, as D-Cruz will be the last one to fall here. But I mean, a ton of time in the bank for Big Man Ting right now. They did have to invest heavily to actually get it done with the Bob and the Orbital Ray here. So just going to be the Rally as their main tool heading into this next fight. We've now completely hit a mirror. The Ash, the Tracer, everything is just going to be, you know, mirrored heroes across the board here. And so Completely Melted for their defense. I feel like it might have to come off the back of these DPS finding an early pick.
Yeah, that's definitely what it's going to come down to, the situation. Tomix, again, he's going to have this ult way sooner, and Alba not going to live long enough to find its value. As we're going to see the investment of the Rally in that situation, is probably not going to find the value you would really hope for in the situation, as everybody's kind of sitting in a really good spot. The Brig, unfortunately, could not be more isolated right now, as Debsy not going to get the same value with that Terra Surge, and now you're just hoping you can find something on top of this right now. Debsy is secluded, and now it's in a rough 3v3 right now, where it doesn't really favor much of either side a whole lot. Just everyone needs to try to just stay alive and secure.
Yeah, I mean, looking for more and more picks. Meanwhile, Big Man Ting just going to keep this payload moving until somebody can actually physically stop them here. Kurama not too interested in that at the moment here. But this does mean that we're going to move the payload within that one fight territory for Big Man Ting. Absolutely what they want for their attack now. Now they just have to actually win this next fight.
Yeah, fortunately the pulse is not going to get them there, but what a play for Kurama, just watching. Knew exactly where SNO was going to go back to on that recall, cleaning up beautifully, and now Big Man Ting, I mean, that ends the fight right there. You have to take the complete reset, as Leo is going to get sent back to the spawn room. Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah, everybody being sent back to spawn right now. It is just cleanup right now, Completely Melted. A little bit aggressive on this defense, but they're making it work. Senna now back over to the Genji here, maybe deciding the Tracer War is just not for them, wanting to find a different angle in. And I do like the Genji approach, right? The reason you see it more and more versus the Tracer is Tracer's just a little too frail sometimes. Those cooldowns can be forced, where Genji can be sort of all in and be doing that massive amount of damage. So we'll have to see if Senna can come up with it. Yeah,
100% here. Bob going to get invested a little early in this fight. It's in a rough situation right now where it's not going to find the value you're hoping for. Senna does go down, as right now, if you're a Big Man Ting, honestly, you just walk back to the spawn. You take the reset because, I mean, D-Cruz decided to push up all the way right now, as Depsy's almost giving their life to try to find this pick, as the Bob's going to get invested right now to see what kind of value we can find in this situation right now. It's separating Depsy from the rest of the squad, and now you need to kind of collapse and try to get rid of Depsy here, because right now they're kind of walking for free, so Terra Surge is going to get invested by both of them right now. Leo manages to find one right now, and unfortunately not going to find anything if you're going to hack. Depsy is still caught off on the side. Both supports have been up this entire time, and they're finding all the value in the world, so at this point, I mean, this is starting to get very sketchy now for Big Man Ting, who do not have much time left.
Yeah, you come into this with 4 minutes in the bank, and now you're going to be at about a minute when this next fight manages to break out. You are working with an Orbital Ray as well as your own Rally here, so tons of sustain coming through on your side of things here. But, you know, throughout that sustain, you do have to actually find the limbs.
Yeah, Pulse not gonna find anything, but is enough of a distraction to take them down the rest of the way right now. Alba gonna see if they can find some value. Both Orbital Rays gonna be used in this situation right now. D-Cruz pretty much walks into the back line to try to find some value. Rough position, but it looks like they will be able to sustain. The chaos is just aiding Completely Melted a little bit more, and Big Man Ting at this point struggling to do pretty much anything right now within the last 3 minutes.
I mean, yeah, they just feel, it feels like Completely Melted has started to master themselves here on this part of the defense. You're gonna have Heck going over, and that is a good start actually. Removing Kurama, getting this Tracer out of your flanks. Now this should be the go button.
Yeah, 100% should be the situation. You got Final Fight coming online here. You need to win back-to-back fights, essentially, in this situation. If you can get rid of D-Cruz or Depsy this early on, it'd be fantastic. But at this point, you're playing for your Blade and your Bob. You're hoping it finds the value with a pick like that. That's going to set you up in really good territory right now, as you're playing for the overtime. You're playing to be able to sustain long enough right now. Depsy is doing everything they can to survive in this corner and eventually be able to live for this Terra Surge. Here we come. The Blade's coming online right now. Terra Surge is being used right now. Kurama's got rid of two. Or not Kurama, Senna has gotten rid of two in the situation. Kurama's still on the scene, though. It is a 3v2 right now. Senna needs to focus on being able to survive right now. And now it's just the touches trying to come one after another. But nobody can make it out in time. So they will finish with time. So it's going to be 1 minute to 1:36 on the clock. Big Man Ting, I mean, finally coming together at the end there. But you got to think what would have happened if they would have made those adjustments 2 minutes earlier.
I mean, yeah, you sort of shoulda, woulda, coulda those moments, right, of how quickly you could have actually gotten it in, had that little bit of extra time in the bank here. 36 seconds, all that is separating these teams right now. That's pretty much one fight, maybe 1.5 if you lose it quickly. But that's that's something for the side of Completely Melted to figure out. Big Man Ting, they are going to have to be the ones to attack first here, and with only a minute in the bank, I'm more than expecting Senna to try to go back over to this Widowmaker potentially. I mean, just one pick is all you really need to sort of open up this first point. Meanwhile, on the side of the defense, Completely Melted, probably going to stick with the tried and true, except I would expect Kurama to not play super aggressively this time. I feel like that's what sort of started their snowball of getting the loss on first point. So hopefully they make that adjustment.
Yeah, honestly, it's something working out this seed in this situation because with the minute on the clock, one thing you have to take into consideration is the fact that these spawns are not particularly close. This isn't like New Numbani where you're very close to like that spawn area compared to the first point. This is a heck of a trek. And Big Man Ting, with this comp that they're playing, they're not going to be able to play super quickly. This is probably going to be one long, continuous fight where they're pretty much praying that they work up to an ultimate, especially at Orbital Ray. And that's what this is honestly going to come down to, in my opinion. Sure, we can find opening picks to get things going, but I think it's really going to come down to these Genos to try to find their Orbital Rays on time.
Exactly, so we'll have to see if that healing sort of can happen here. But both teams are going to put... Ooh, that's the first pick.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be really bad. So now you're pushed back. And unfortunately, I mean, your single silver lining is you get a second fight here, but the problem is now Big Man Ting, they don't get the opportunity to take their time anymore. They have to touch this point, and that means they have to just start going forward here soon.
Yep, and now you're seeing over to the Zarya here instead of the Orisa, and this could be that difference maker here. And like you said, how aggressive they have to get, making sure to get somebody over to this objective. No Tracer, so it might even be Senna having to dash in and dash out. But the Zarya already gone.
Yeah, and now Dempsey is going to be able to go grab this Mega, and Senna's gone. And unfortunately, I think that's all she wrote right there for that right there. No one else has a reasonable touch on this point except for Alba, but Alba's getting taken care of. Overtime touch did go through, but it's going to essentially just make the round last 6 seconds longer. So not even a tick for Big Man Ting, so all Completely Melted has to do is put one tick on that board. It'll put them at match point. And the bright side is they get at least 2 fights to do it. And if we're taking into consideration how that very first fight went, I don't know how you react right now if you're Big Man Ting. What's the comp you try to come out here to kind of shut this down? Because your options feel pretty limited at this point.
I mean, yeah, your options do start to feel limited. I will say this. Maybe it's time to pull out those telescopes. The draw is what could be seen here. But that is going to be sort of a wait and see moment here, because again, these hero picks are going to determine a lot right now. Senna seems to have shied away from the hit scan altogether, going to be rocking out with this Genji look here. Meanwhile, Completely Melted, they're going to stick with Kurama on the Tracer here, and this is going to be pretty much a gnat trying to run over to the point time and time again here, and it can force some massive rotations from Big Man Ting, right? If they send too many members back, give up too much space, that could give D-Cruz and Depsy the space they need to maybe come in and find picks of their own here. So it's going to be something to watch out for, how much space and how much respect they give over to Kurama on the Tracer.
Yeah, and you have to respect it a little bit. Kurama has clearly proved that they can get away with a lot right now on this Tracer. At the same time, you need to be watching out for Senna and Leo in this situation, because you do need to respect it, but at the same time, you also need to keep a watching eye on it. Be able to invest enough of your time without completely investing to that lane. So it's something we have to see here right now. That speed, that TP, gonna get Completely Melted pretty much right there on the point to get things started right now. So now we'll see how this fast style is going to play into their advantage in this situation. Leo already sitting super low, and here comes that rush immediately right now onto them. Leo already taken out. Kahek already going to have trouble finding value. Alba's going to get taken care of, and Yalba just managed to find one after death right now, but just kind of playing with your food right now. If you're Kurama, you get slept for your manner, and now Kurama's going to get sent back to the spawn room, but unfortunately, touches are starting to come through. They're going to get pushed off the cart, unfortunately.
Senna could have been on.
That feels so weird. I mean, it's technically a C9. It also kind of isn't. That's just, I don't know. That's a. You almost have to call a challenge flag on that. They did get kind of forced off by Dempsey in that situation, but Senna did have a possibility of touching. That is true. I mean, again, look at that stuff. That's just beautiful. That's excellent coordination and utilizing your ults like that, especially when the bring ult's really good for sustaining. You don't usually think of it that much in terms of trying to pair another ultimate with it. So back in the day, back when that shield could bash anyway, back in the day. You didn't need Rally to be able to bash them and stun them. You would just stun and hit a Shatter. Nowadays, you can kind of do the same with other ultimates with that Rally. But, I mean, either way, very back and forth affair, but it just feels like Completely Melted is always a step ahead in these situations. And when they start to fall behind, they just change something around and kind of just take it right back. So that's kind of, that's just been the story of the last 2 maps here today.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. It really does just cover the basis here. The adjustments coming out from Completely Melted, sort of answering the call of what Big Man Ting is throwing at them. And I'm not saying Big Man Ting feels like defeated or anything like that, because they are playing this incredibly close. They're coming in with these crazy fights themselves, but it does feel like they're a little bit slower to adapt, slower to change things up and make it work for them. So, you have to wonder if maybe that'll be the difference maker today.
Yeah, it's something we're going to see. Obviously, there could potentially be more maps to go. We are going to have our 3rd map eventually. But before we do that, we are going to cut it to a little break here for our halftime. So stick around to see if Big Man Ting can try to turn this around, or if Completely Melted is going to make us a short afternoon here. Stay tuned, and we'll see. Already sitting here today at match point here, hoping to decide some of the seeding for the EUPC Open Tournament. Megalas, it might just take one more map for us to be able to decide it. And first and foremost, everybody, welcome back from our halftime break here. Already sitting 2-0 here for Completely Melted over Big Man Ting. Like I said, we're potentially one map away from solidifying that third overall seed for Completely Melted on their side. And right now, while it has been a fight back, back and forth between these teams so far, it has been Completely Melted that have just been barely ahead pretty much this entire time. They've been put down a little bit, but they have instantly snapped back when they kind of feel pressed against that wall.
Yeah, exactly, right? The micro adjustments has sort of been the name of the game here. Completely Melted, sort of answering to what Big Man Ting is doing. And Big Man Ting, again, they're making these adjustments themselves as well, but it's coming in a little bit later, a little bit slower to adapt, and that's making all of the difference right now. To be fair, though, looking forward in this series, we are headed to clash Hanaoka, but the last time these two teams faced off, it was a 3-0 for Completely Melted, and it did end here on Hanaoka.
Yeah, it's kind of bringing a bit of deja vu to the situation, but your last line of defense, you have to pretty much reverse sweep from here on out and win every single map. And Hanaoka in Clash in general is one heck of a place to start because we have seen a lot throughout this entire season right now. A lot of the 3-1s that exist within this season of CGL, that one, a lot of them have come from Clash in this situation. So if there's ever a time for them to bounce back or an opportunity for them to bounce back, this is obviously probably the best case for them in this situation to try to make something happen. Because Hanaoka, to be honest, you could play this quite a few different ways, but I'm not going to be surprised at all if we just see the Orisa mirror to get things going. The real question kind of comes down to that DPS, because we've seen a lot of the Genji, a lot of that Tracer, a lot of that Ashe. It's kind of been the variance we've seen here today. And to be fair, I think going into this, unless you really try to pull something out of your hat in this situation, I don't know if Big Man Ting is going to do anything but kind of at least create a partial mirror, to be honest.
Yeah, and when you're going to that partial mirror, like you talked about, my mind sort of drifts back to Lijiang Tower, right? When we had to play that Cassidy on Control Center, and memory serves me, Completely Melted kind of dominated that one. They set the tempo and kept it up the whole map long here. So we'll have to see. Again, it's about Big Man Ting maybe making those adjustments. We have seen them pull out the Zarya more and more here, leaning into it. They have been looking pretty decent on it. Considering it is a bit of an off-meta pick here, but it still is going to be that matter of can it find value where it needs to against this Completely Melted lineup. And, Completely Melted at the end of the day, all they have to do is just keep their foot on the gas. That's, it completely is on the side of Big Man Ting to force a response.
Yeah, that's 100% the situation right now. We're going to see if they're going to be able to do it again with our third and potentially final map of the day, Hanaoka. And again, it's Clash. It's just that kind of map at the end of the day here. And I'm curious how they want to try to solve this, because we've seen them go over to the Zarya, and it has found, we'll say, limited success. It's come out the gate, it started to find value, but unfortunately, with the way things are nowadays with Overwatch, it's kind of easy to just find that value on a Zarya, because again, this isn't like a Ramatra who has, a Nemesis form where you can block a bunch of damage for 8 seconds and hard sustain. It's not a Rein who has this massive shield that can kind of just take a lot and back out with it. When you're a Zarya in this situation, you have 2 bubbles. And once it is calmed that you have 1 bubble left, when that bubble comes up, they're simply going to push through it and try to delete you. That's what's going to happen in most of these fights. And if they run the Zarya, I think that is 100% what's going to continue to happen. So it's a question of whether or not you try to bring it out. I don't think it's the right call to bring it back out personally. But again, it's just something we're really going to have to see here. You just have to make the correct adjustments. And the bright side is, this is essentially 5 CP, let's be honest. So if you lose the first fight, you can make adjustments pretty much immediately, but you really want to try to get that leg up and come out on the right thing the first time.
Exactly, and it can make all the difference in the world in terms of building momentum and things of that nature, trying to keep it going here. So, what we're going to be watching out for is, again, that momentum, that tempo building for both of these squads, trying to find exactly how they want to approach this here, whether it is going to be the continued fast-paced gameplay that we've seen, or if, maybe there's a way to slow it down. If you doubt it, Flash has been super important, right?
Do you see some? I didn't realize there were Pachamaris on this map. I'll be honest. I don't know where they're at. Megalas, do you know where the Pachamaris are on this map?
That's it's the secondary spawn room for if I wanted to be very specific, it's point 8, but I point One side's an arcade, the other side is a book.
All right, you know your stuff, man. That's all right. We'll get there eventually. We'll create a whole staff game this thing for just guess the map, but set that up a different day today. Again, third potentially final map. Your big man Ting gonna be coming out on the Ashe and that Genji, but Kurama gonna come out on the Venture. First time seeing the Venture here today. I think Venture does have a spot right now to have some viability in a lot of these fights, so you need to try to find the value off of it. You're gonna play it almost like a Tracer in a way, as you're gonna go down and try to find somebody out. Lots of damage coming through, but no picks, but it is gonna force them out right now as heck. Rough situation where they need to try to survive, and unfortunately they need to back out a little bit more and sustain and kind of just focus on the last second touch.
Yeah, and that's going to be the name of the game. They have to wait for that last minute to be able to come in and contest the point here. But they do have all the members and they're healthy, and that's a good way to start.
Yeah, kind of abandoned the backline a little bit here in the situation, but point drop back down to half right now. The 4v4 is online. Depsy currently sitting literally at 1. They need to kind of develop everything to get rid of Depsy. They're going to now. Now Kurama is just going to create a stall in the situation and be able to get out alive as well, more than likely. But the Spear is going to disrupt them a little bit right now. But unfortunately for them, Tomix is still alive, delivering a ton of pressure on the side to be able to keep them up and just keep them sustained, as they're going to be able to take another reset here.
Yep, so we're still fighting here in the center. We're going to be pushing towards these ultimates, right? You're going to see the Kitsune Rush versus Orbital Ray. I do favor the Orbital Ray, but the Kitsune's already out.
Yeah, it's going to be this battle of the support ultimates right now. Everyone trying to dump into Gehek and Depsy in this situation. There's so much heals being brought around. Unfortunately, the damage is going to outdo the speed in this situation, and it looks like Big Man Ting will be able to get the first point to get things going here. Heck of an investment from both sides to use the support ults early, but it's 100% worth it to get that first fight win.
I mean, that's exactly what you would see, you know, in terms of the Juno versus Kiriko. The Kitsune Rush, sure, you get the extra speed, you get those cooldowns back quicker, but the damage boost and the healing just too great to break through here. So now Big Man Ting getting that first point, and they're starting off the second one with a beautiful pick on the Venture.
Yeah, Depsy's in a bit of a rough situation right now. Got to pull out. Again, is getting all the heals in the world from Tomx in this situation, as they're going to invest very weirdly right now. Not really going to find a whole lot of value. The single bright side is you pretty much force away Depsy, and now you got bodies on this point for second touch. I think you realistically can commit the retouch, and I think you 100% should.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the members too, right? Especially with Kurama on the Venture. That's one of the great things about Venture is the beautiful stall, but it seems like nobody's actually going to get there in time. So now, you know, it completely flips how much of a contest that we're about to see, right? Will Big Ben Ting actually try to make a conscious effort into taking point E? Or on the other side of things, are they simply going to try to force ultimates and then bring us back towards something like point D where they're going to have favorable positioning?
They need to force ultimates. I have rarely ever seen any team come out here at the gate and really just force away a fight win. So right now, if you're Big Man Ting, you are playing simply for that aspect right now. Go in. You could maybe use like one ult to try to do it, but now Bob's going to come out online, as well as Kurama going to use theirs own in the situation. They're going to win the fight in time. But Big Man Ting, that's exactly what they wanted. They get out 2 ults for doing essentially nothing.
Yeah, and now the fact that nobody was capping the point during this time, right? You're seeing it the entirety of Big Man Ting. They're respawning, and they're going to get some pretty decent positioning here on point D as well. So, you know, setting up back into a favorable fight that they're going to want to be. You know, completely melted. They're going to have to find some massive value potentially off the back of this Terror Surge if they want to try to get their momentum back in their favor.
Yeah, Beat going to be used here by Depsy in the situation. They're going to be able to sustain the Beat. Not sure if we found them in that situation, but either way, Blade's online right now. Depsy sitting super low, trying to sustain everything that they can right now. Kurama does manage to get rid of Senna in that situation, so he's going to create a bit of a 4v4 right now, but this chaos, again, is going to favor completely Melter right now. They kind of have everybody all over the place, and for Kurama, looks like it's eventually going to pay off. Sitting at 1, unfortunately, I think the damage has already been done in this situation. If you're Gehek, you need to try to either die now or get out, and looks like they're going to be able to get out.
Yeah, and, you know, completely melted. Like I said, off the back of that Terror Surge, beautiful sound barrier as well to keep everybody nice and healthy. Now, heading back into the middle here, we're going to see very similar to our first fight, right? It's going to be the mirror of the Kitsune Rush versus this Orbital Ray here. I feel like they have to try to force Big Man Ting to use this Orbital Ray first and then kite it and then come back in with the Kitsune Rush if they want the hope of winning the fight.
Yeah, that's kind of the situation right now. Big Man Ting has a big ult advantage on their side right now. We saw the battle between the Kitsune Rush and that Orbital Ray earlier. Orbital Ray won out by a landslide, but who knows if you'll need it right now. Back in the 4v4, Alba now has to make the choice, and they are going to use this ultimate. Gehek now just needs to try to play with it and try to find some value. And once again, Leo is going to find that approximate value, 2k on the board. You only have Tomix over there alive, and Leo's going to get themselves a 3k. So Again, points gonna unlock. We're pretty much hearing the same story as before, but the bright side for Completely Melted, because of how early they used those DPS ults last time, Completely Melted's gonna have both of them for this next one.
And so that's going to be sort of the crucial thing here is Big Man Ting only working with the Terra Surge here. I kind of wonder, again, if they might have to take another fight where they intentionally lose it to these ultimates, right? If they could force out both of these DPS ultimates from the side of Completely Melted, fight again on point C with their own Terra Surge, give themselves an advantage. But Depsy's missing!
Yeah, but so is Leo now, and now it's a rough situation. Now you gotta learn how to play it, and Tomix, again, is doing the thing. Gahek is, let's be real, they are in the middle of nowhere right now. They are not accomplishing a whole lot. They're just sitting on the point, and that's not enough for that situation. You have to regroup with that situation because of how chaotic that fight is. So unfortunately, Completely Melted are gonna pull it back, creating another 3v3, and once again, they still have both of those DPS ultimates that are gonna have a lot of value on this point.
Exactly, right? That's pretty much worst case scenario for the side of Big Man Ting. The fact that Completely Melted gets to keep those ultimates and now come into center here. So Big Man Ting still operating at the ult disadvantage. They're going to have to find a way to sustain through this fight. It might be off the back of the rally here, but it is going to be a very tall ask for simply one break to keep everybody healthy through this plethora of damage.
Yeah, Krama, bit of a rough situation, but gonna be able to help get rid of... Oh, no, the beat's gonna get used as well, and Tomix gonna be able to get rid of Senna, push them back all the way. Point is going to unlock right now. It's going to try some kind of value. If you're Karama, looks like you're able to get out with it. So now the question is, do you retouch or do you not?
That's going to be the question here, but it seems like they're engaging. They're getting ready to walk forward here. Meanwhile, it is just going to be these Terra Surges potentially pulling people together that could cause a problem.
Yeah, but we're going to see this online right now. Karama, going to see if they can get out alive here. Literally sitting at 1 right now, and unfortunately separated right now is Karama. Going to see the Terra Surge going to be used. It's going to force bodies off of that point. Alba's going to get used, but they can play around with the ultimates in this situation. But Depsy, again, just getting the better in this fight right now. You need to find something very quickly right now if you're Leo or Senna. Unfortunately, you've been forced into corners. You've been pushed away right now. The singular bright side for Big Man Ting is you've managed to force the point the other way. Unfortunately, I don't think you can regroup in time to commit another fight. I don't think that's realistic at all.
No, and both teams that committed heavy into this fight here. Now you're seeing the Zarya Swamp come out once again. Big Man Ting is going to find themselves on the back foot, though. Completely Melted, 1 point away from locking up another 3-0 victory here. It really is going to come down to these DPS, right? You're going to be looking towards Senna and Leo to sort of open this one up for you, whether it's a pick on the Ashe or if they get these ultimates online in time.
Yeah, and now Hex over on the Zarya, and this is unfortunately, this is a bit of a desperation swap in this situation right now, because it's going to be really hard to get rid of Depsy still on the Zarya. I know it's a counter. I fully understand that it's a counter, but that doesn't mean it's going to work in this situation where Depsy has all the speed and all the heals in the world in the situation. And now it's going to be down to Senna to try to find an early pulse here, to try to find somebody. If you can manage to catch this on to Tomix or D Cruz, be massive. And it looks like D Cruz will be the one caught with it in this situation. So now 5v4. You need to come together because right now there's 3 different fights going on right now, Megalast, and that is going to favor Completely Melted, but eventually looks like they're going to be able to clean it up a little bit, find some targets as the point's going to unlock their way slowly but surely, but unfortunately, this fight's still very much alive, and they're going to have a retouch.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, you're seeing Leo currently have to make probably the hardest decisions right now of whether or not to invest this Bob into this fight to guarantee it, but it seems like the holding it was the right move here. Big Man Ting, they're able to stabilize, get this fight win, and now are heading back to point C for the final fight. They still have Bob, there's a sound barrier on the other side, tons of ultimates actually so close to coming online, so both teams might actually try to take this slow, trying to build towards their own bank.
Yeah, that's kind of the situation right now. This grab is going to be important because at the very least, it's going to force out the beat in this situation. For Leo, it's going to be all about the follow-up right now. And the most important thing of the day is Alba needs to live. That is your trump. That is your actual trump card, is Alba being alive and surviving. You see already the press onto Leo right now. Going to take care of them, pushing them back all the way. Bob's going to get invested just to find some approximate value, but Keck is already gone. No value on that right now. And now it is perhaps the worst case scenario for Big Man Ting. It is just the supports right now. The Bob's still hanging around on the side. Now it's all but a potential retouch right now. Leo's trying to come back right now to see if we can find any touches on the board. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Big Man Ting didn't even get a chance at that final fight. Taken out before they could use anything. And unfortunately, that's the story of the day for Completely Melted. Just slightly outpacing them almost every single time. And you can see it paying off in that final fight where, I mean, they didn't even let it become a fight, Megalax. They just didn't.
I mean, yeah, but that's exactly what Completely Melted had to do. They were well aware of what they were up against in terms of the ult bank here, knowing that this Bob could have come out, of being able to apply that pressure, getting Leo away from the fight was, you know, absolutely target number 1 there. So Completely Melted able to repeat their week 1 performance with a 3-0 victory. Close as hell. 3-0 does not tell you how close this series was between these two squads here. But that extra ego boost, that nice extra win in the column here, is going to feel really, really good heading into the postseason.
I mean, it 100% is. And again, you take this in comparison to how we looked at their last matchup with each other, where again, they ran these same map types, some of these same maps right now. This is 100% closer than that. Again, it was within a single point of each other. Honestly, a lot of these came down to a singular fight, especially look at Lijiang, look there at Hanaoka. It really kind of came down to that at the end of the day. But regardless, like I said, completely melted. They take the 3-0 victory. I believe they'll move in and keep that third seed as well. Hold on to that, so it's going to give them a little bit more value. But at the end of the day, Mega Last for Big Man Ting, I mean, you came into today, you weren't completely at 100%. You had Senate in there who was trying to do as much work as they could in that situation. But again, this is why we talk about this being a team-based game. This is all about that team coordination, and completely melted just knew how they wanted to play that. And when fights broke down, I feel like they kind of cleaned up a little bit better, kind of maybe worked on their target calls a little bit better as well.
Yeah, and I mean, that cleanup, that's something that they definitely will have time to work on here. As, you know, not the end of the world for Big Man Ting. They keep that number 4 seed. They will be seen in the postseason. And like you said, they didn't have their full roster, but I think the story of the day definitely is just completely melted, completely able to take away that victory here. And I mean, hey, good on them. They were able to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Again, just a fantastic job on their part to kind of make this 3-0 happen. And obviously, a lot of standouts here today, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that player of the match later once we're fully decided on the desk. That is the desk job in that situation. But either way, we had a lot of big standouts for today. But Miglas, we might get the opportunity to talk to one or two of those standouts here. But before we do, we're gonna head to a quick break here to get everything set up and ready to go. So don't you delay, because we're gonna have a very fun interview on the other side of the break. Welcome back from our break, everybody. And no, you're not seeing doubles. In fact, we have ourselves an interview here today. Tom X joining us on the side of Completely Melted. First and foremost, congratulations on a big 3-0 win to finish out the regular season.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was an exciting one. Very back and forth affair, but y'all went in. Y'all secured that 3-0. You're going to hold on to that third seed right now. And honestly, I want to feel how, or kind of find out how the season has kind of been for y'all as a whole, because it's been a lot of back and forth, but y'all secured yourself into playoffs, and you got to have some confidence from everything you've managed to accomplish so far this season.
I mean, yeah, the season's, as you said, it's been pretty back and forth. There have been some like unexpected losses, unexpected wins. Like I remember our matches with 0907, for example. Like the first one, we kind of fumbled the bag a little bit, but the second one we pulled it back really well. I think we did really good against them and improved ourselves as a team. And now coming into this match, we didn't exactly know what to expect. We were just planning to give it our all, give it our best, and win the match as quickly as possible. And I think we had a really good showing, got a nice trio, and I'm really happy about how we did.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely nothing to not be proud of, I should say. But, looking at this matchup, 3-0 does not tell the whole story, right? It was obviously a close affair across these maps here. I mean, the first thing I want to point out, right? SNO was absolutely lighting it up on those hit scan heroes to start off. Were you guys expecting that coming in, or did it really just throw you for a loop?
We initially didn't even realize that I was going to be playing, so that kind of caught us by surprise initially. As soon as we saw it, we kind of expected to see those dominant hit scan heroes coming into play, but the Widow was definitely not something we were accounting for, especially not when we were loading into Lijiang and expecting to, die as Judo twice to a Widow first in the fight. That was definitely not something I was expecting to go up against. Real props to Senna. I really think highly of her as a player. But we just eventually decided, we're just gonna have Kurama on the Tracer, his comfort hero, just send him on to Senna and do his job. Eventually force him off Widow. We even joked about it with Kurama for a bit, that Kurama can put it on his CV that he forced Senna off Widow, and maybe they'll get into some good teams.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, that's definitely a resume builder if there ever was one. But I mean, overall, again, just a close matchup, but coming out ahead here. In those tense moments, I have to know sort of what the comm structure was like. Was somebody able to sort of keep it calm, or do you feel like maybe nerves were running high, especially in like situations where you're going like extra rounds on Blizzard World and things like that?
I mean, there were definitely some tense moments in our voice chat as well. Definitely, like when thinking about our first defense on Blizzard World, where we lost the third point. It was definitely getting a bit anxious at that point because we had good plans to go into that fight, but we didn't really follow up on that exactly. So VC was definitely getting a bit tense, but in general, I think we have pretty cool-minded people in our team. So we brought it back pretty quickly, locked in for the next rounds, and secured the victory.
Yeah, no, hey, 100% feels like it out there, and obviously, y'all got your spots in the playoffs. You'll have confidence coming off of a big 3-0 win. But now there's gonna be a lot of teams you could potentially run into. I want to know: are there any teams you're hoping to run into, maybe for the first time? Maybe you're hoping for a rematch against any other particular team. Is there anybody you're kind of really looking forward to having that match against?
I think I would definitely look forward to a rematch against the team we just played, the Big Man Ting, because there are more of my friends on that team that didn't get to play today because I'm assuming they were just unavailable. But also, I'm definitely looking forward to a rematch with the number 1 seed currently, Yurei Mirai, because I really want to see how we can actually fare up against the Reaper Maga comp when we actually have some preparation for it.
Hey, it makes complete sense, and obviously we want to let you go and celebrate here, but if there's anything you want to say or anybody you kind of want to shout out or thank, we're kind of going to give you the floor to be able to do so.
Yeah, no, I just want to make it like really clear to Alba, one of my good friends, that my Kiriko is definitely not one to be messed with. I was really heartbroken for a moment when I opened the stream and I saw the interview and I saw my Kiriko getting kind of trashed on. But the third map, I think I definitely proved that, yeah, you do not want to go up against my Kiriko, especially if you're going to trash talk me before the game. So yeah, take that as a lesson, Noah. Hope we can still be on good terms, but if not, I understand. It's okay.
You know what? We have to appreciate at the end of the day, Megaless. We just absolutely have to. But again, either way, congratulations again, big 3-0 victory, and go celebrate, and best of luck for the playoffs coming forth.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. Take care. Don't you just love EU interviews, Megalast? Don't you just love them?
Yeah, it definitely is it is a fun time to say the least here, but yeah, I mean it's more and more fun action always here in EU. They always get to have a little bit more spice than NA. That's why I love being here.
Yeah, no, it's a as someone on the desk very affectionately calls it, the better region by a mile, which I tend to agree with him at times. But either way, Megaless, I would love to sit here all day, break down everything that we've heard. But you know the bright side of that? We have a whole desk that is meant to do that for us. So we're going to go cut it to them, and they're going to break down all this action for our EU matchup.
Time is a circle and history repeats itself. We have another 3-0 by completely melted against Big Man Ting. So, it was close. There was some wrenches in the engines, but ultimately they had it in the bag. So fair play to both Megalast and yourself, Jeff. You predicted this one down the line. Do you have any gloating words for the rest of us, desk?
I mean, sure. Yes, I did it. Look at me go. Yes. Nose in the air. Nose in the air. Yes. This is me gloating. There you go.
Nice. Yes, it was a good matchup. It was entertaining, especially like that first submap when we were looking at Senna just like dominating the field. Definitely, I don't think they expected that at first, but they started to really hone in on. I would say their teamwork really was the main thing that got them to work together. We were talking, of course, throughout that match as we were watching it. And Spec, what would you say was really the main factor that helped Completely Melted continuously get those map wins?
Anything they could do to restrict the impact of Senna, essentially. Because obviously she was playing out of her mind. That's kind of what you get with Senna. There's a reason why she's as highly loyalty as she is. Outside of that, though, it was pretty quiet for the most part. Alba maybe being off-road a little bit onto that Juno, still doing good, but you can't really do that much from Juno, right? You kind of stay alive, you hit your raise, that's kind of it. For what it's worth, I think that Leo probably didn't play the most fantastic series ever. I think we saw Senna kind of flexing to cover up his maybe flaws in the hero pool. But you really don't want that, especially when Senna was putting up that performance at the beginning on the Widowmaker. But no, I think Leo did underperform a little bit there. And of course, as we mentioned perhaps already, Dempsey did play a fantastic series on that Orisa, consistently finding isolations, consistently finding kills, consistently finding this Terror Surge value, and marking space in a deeply effective manner. So those are the main differences that stood out at least to me.
Yeah, the isolation in that final fight on Clash there really helped them. It was Leo that got isolated, had Bob, and we were talking about how they could use that Bob to gain time to get the beam, but it couldn't work because they got isolated. So, yeah, great space creation there. Ray, another 3-0 here, but again, I think the closest map has to have been the either Lijiang or I would actually say Blizzard World came very close to a draw there, 90 seconds. You kind of would have thought that the Widowmaker would have maybe really given them the edge there, but were they leaning a bit too hard on just one player being their pop-off character?
I think you could definitely make an argument for that. I did think, as 3-0s go, this is probably the closest 3-0 I've seen in a very long time. It's like Lijiang went to 3 maps. Blizzard World went to extra innings to go for it. And then Clash came down to the final point. So it's not like any of these maps melted, just ran away with it. It was very close. I mean, Alba and Senna were doing their best to make some big-time plays and make things happen. But at the end of the day, as we mentioned, I think Depsy, and just a lot. Just the teamwork of Melted just kind of came through in the clutch times when it mattered.
Yeah, you can see that was a consistent theme, just the teamwork really coming together. Looking forward now, I mean, that's us in terms of EU for starting out Overwatch coverage of the regular season. Now looking to the playoffs of this bracket and the rest of the brackets, now we're looking for the teams to really hone in because every match counts. If we see a rematch between these teams, what are we feeling like needs to change? And once obviously we did have subs, obviously the tank on the side of Big Man Ting was a sub, but what are the main things that could be changed there, Spec, in terms of like turning that around?
It's really hard to say, obviously, because obviously today ended up being the Senna show. She doesn't consistently play. We kind of expect Sonded to be starting a lot of the time for Big Man Ting here. So it's kind of hard to say, right? If she does end up playing again, maybe get Sonder in on that DPS line. Maybe they can put together something that looks a bit more comfortable for them, because obviously swapping DPS roles between hitscan and FDPS between Senna and Leo isn't really ideal mid-series. I feel like just having a solid 5 and it's going to make this series so much more competitive. And as it already has been mentioned, this already was competitive, right? It could have went 3-1, it could have went 3-2. Just every time the coin could have flipped, it went in the favor of completely melted. So I think there's a lot for them to fix, but just get their full 5 and play better. I know it's a little bit simplistic, but that's kind of just what the circumstances force me to say.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right, it did come very close to being a 3-1. There were many times, Jeff, where you're conceding that maybe the 3-1, the Cowards 3-0 prediction could have come correct there, especially with Clash being so close there. A lot of small tweaks there, and it would have gotten there. Go ahead.
No, I was just kind of agreeing with you. I mean, especially on map 1, I was starting to get a little nervous, right? That's when, I mean, first kill right out of the gate, first blood of the entire series is a headshot onto the Juno from Senna. Like, that's how we opened up the series. And that happened several fights in a row there on Lijiang, and was one of the reasons Lijiang was so close. And that was on that map. I mean, it felt like an incredible retake there at the very end from completely melted, just to maintain the touch and kind of juggle that with the second touch to get all their reinforcements back to win that one. I mean, that was absolutely one pick away from it being a 1-0 lead for Big Man Ting right out of the gate on Lijiang Tower. Now, I think it did get a little bit more one-sided as it went on. I mean, it was extremely close. Ray is 100% correct, but I felt like completely melted, kind of figured out a game plan more. We're able to keep Senna a little quieter once we got into Blizzard World. And, I mean, then the swap came in and Senna started playing the Genji, and, things kind of shook up again a little bit. But I also kind of want to piggyback on what they could do if these two teams do meet up again come playoff time. I think it may be a little bit of an adjustment. So when we've seen this Orisa comp, which has kind of fallen out of favor a little bit with the new updates and the nerf and orbital ray, which, was it enough? Probably not. But we have started to see new tanks come into the meta, and we have started to see, different approaches here in this meta. I think that's something Big Man Ting might want to look at. I feel like the Orisa composition is so based on your teamwork. It's so based on coordinating your ultimates together. And a lot of that where the synergy and the leadership from the front line of Melted, you could see that synergy really on display with the Terror Surge combos and the way they were working around their orbital rays. Big Man Ting kind of wanted to play a little bit more of a pick comp, and we've seen like the Zenyatta starting to come back into form. We've seen the Junker Queen come into form, although I don't know if it would quite work with that. The Winston actually might be the way to go. I think Big Man Ting needs to experiment more with enabling their pop-off hit scans with the entire composition kind of changing up, and see if they can find their own identity in that going into playoffs.
Yeah, again, we did see the monkey briefly as well on Blizzard World. So yeah, I think you are right in terms of that, because watching it, like I'll admit, in terms of the tank matchup, it's an unfair assessment because it was a tank ringer, but there was a lot of times where the Orisa kind of got a little bit lost in the shuffle there, and the team of Completely Melted were able to get a lot more done with the space, at least that I felt. So I definitely agree with you there, which I will lead on to the next segment, which will, of course, will be naming our MVP. And looking across, I think it was a very even playing field, but ultimately in the winning team, it is going to be Depsy, who is the MVP, the tank of the team that won. Lots of times isolating the correct people, creating the space, and just really leading the team. It did help, of course, they were against the ringer, but ultimately it's their own performance that really shone through. Thinking back on the ways that we saw the Dempsey play, mostly on the Orisa, right? What were the things that really stood out to you with the player?
Their aggression and their Terra Surge usage. Like, I felt like every time they had Terra Surge, because of how well their team was working together, they had a great combo to go with. I mean, we saw on Blizzard World some crazy, it was a Terra Surge rally with the big stun to keep everyone inside of the Terra Surge. They used those ultimates to perfection, and then it felt like every map or so, they had a good, like a big javelin that would always, like, whether they interrupted an ultimate or anything, like it was they had some very key moments when it came to those.
I'm right in remembering it was Dempsey got a free K with Terra Surge at one point, and it was mostly based off of a bash spec. You don't see that often, do you?
No, it's not a totally uncommon play. It's something you can do, but it's kind of hard to find the play to work consistently, because if you doesn't go perfectly to plan, right, your break has no bash, which is a big like defensive cooldown, and she's kind of stuck in the middle of the enemy team where she's going to get blown up. So a bit risky, obviously, but obviously it works out fantastically. I think Dempsey did play fantastically. I think for me, I was definitely most impressed by his ability to find isolations one-on-ones. Orisa's tankiness is such that she can just disrespect the space, right? You can just W key through 5 people to find a 1v1 that's favorable to you. And a couple of times it was finding picks like that was a huge difference maker between these two teams.
100%. I mean, it's those small difference makers that really just add up. I mean, you can have a star player, but when you have a star team that works together, that's cohesive, it's always going to come through stronger. But that is us for EU in terms of SNO. Later tonight we have NA SNO. So there's still plenty more content to watch of the regular season. So we've got another match. It'll be Mythos Phoenix versus Guardians HC. Obviously you'll be breaking it down a lot later on, but Ray, do you have any insights about what this match on the NA side might have in store for us?
The interesting thing about this matchup is, so this one only really decided seeding. So Big Man Ting will be the 4th seed or the 4th seed for this tournament. Or I forget if there's two. I think there's 2 divisions in here. So they'll be the 4th out of this division. Completely Melted will be 3rd. For Mythos Phoenix and Guardian HC, the winner will get a playoff spot. They're 4th and 5th right now. They have the same record. So winner punches it for them. So that's going to be an interesting one to look at tonight.
And those are sort of matchups that like really get your gears going at the end of a regular season. Playoffs are coming up and it's all to play for. Obviously next week there'll not be an SNO segment. I don't know what the plans are in terms of streaming, but we will have some stuff going on.
We'll stream it for sure.
Yeah. Oh no, I was hoping we weren't, so I could.
You're not getting off that easy, Joe. You're not getting off that easy.
No. Oh god, I will not live what's about to happen down. Tomorrow though, CGL regular broadcast, so there's still some regular season games that you'll be able to catch. No desk, but you'll still be able to see some of the teams in action before the 2-week break until the playoffs. But that is us for SNO on the regular season of EU. We're going to go to some like final thoughts going forward as well for the playoffs. Spec. For the regular season of EU, we've seen lots of different levels of teams and different levels of matchups as well. Does anything stand out in your memory from being quite outstanding so far, or are you more looking forward to certain things in the playoffs?
I think whenever I cast EU, I'm always pleasantly surprised about the level of play that I see, even in some of these lower divisions. So I think just continue to watch for players making strong rotations, getting good ult cycles through. Obviously hitting your shots, that's a little bit more boring, but just generally, like, playing Overwatch well is always a thing that I'm looking for when I go out and cast a game, or, sit here, watch it on the desk, and I think that's always been what makes these EU matches so entertaining for me, so just keep watching out for that.
Jeff, when you're broadcasting an EU game, do you feel that difference between the region of, like, EU and NA?
Oh, that is an interesting question. Yes, a little bit less so than I think it used to be, but there's definitely still some differences. But I will say, I mean, both regions have been toying with this new meta. Both regions have been kind of showing us something a little bit different. I mean, across different levels of T2 and T3 play, not just here in CGL. And when it comes to playoffs, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. I'm looking forward just to see a little bit more variety and teams kind of showing up with their own game plan and showing us, they can play by the beat of their own drum.
Exactly, and that's the rhythm we want to see from the teams going into the playoffs. And obviously, it's no longer going to be about seeding when we get to playoffs. It's no longer going to be about ego. There are prizes to play for, Ray, and that's when things get a little bit more serious. They actually see the end of the tunnel. Remind everyone, what are the prizes that are on offer right now in terms of the tiers on CGL?
So I know it is for the EU PC Open, the EU Console Open, the NA Console Open, and the NA PC Open. Don't quote me on this. I want to say it's 500 or 1,000 per each one. I can't remember. It's either 500 or 1,000 for each division.
Right.
I can't remember which one it is. So there's definitely cash on the line for these teams. So that's always going to be awesome to fight for. And then some of the lower divisions that don't have cash on the line, there are certain teams who just have the pride. They've been in that division for a long time and have won championships in the past, and they like to keep that going. So that's always big on the line for some of those lower divisions.
Exactly. Even if there's no cash on the line, there's 14 seasons of history here in CGL, and the history book is now open for this season, and someone will go in the history book of CGL and be there permanently. But from the SNO desk today, that's us. We'll see you in NA. Don't forget to laugh loud and love yourself, folks. See you later.